Sometimes God doesn't test you to see what you'll do, but to show you who you already are. Let that truth settle in for a moment. Chosen one, if you're hearing this now, it's not a coincidence, it's confirmation. You've been led here for a reason, in this exact moment, because heaven has a message for you. This isn't random, this is divine timing. And if your spirit has been wrestling lately, if you felt like life has been unusually hard for no reason, you're about to find out why. God didn't forget you, He was refining you. You've been walking through a hidden trial, haven't you? A test so intense that no one around you could truly understand. You cried in silence, trusted in the dark, and stood tall even when it felt like the ground beneath you was crumbling. You didn't cheat. You didn't cut corners. You didn't sell your soul for comfort. And God saw everything. The pain, the integrity, the obedience when no one else was watching. You didn't just survive the test. You passed it with honor. If you've been holding it all together while feeling like everything is falling apart, then this message is for you. You've passed the hardest test, not with pride, but with quiet perseverance. You were never being punished, you were being prepared, and now the reward is coming. Before we dive into the deeper truth behind your test and what God is about to reveal to you, I want to ask you to comment 777 below. That number is more than a sign of completion. It's a public declaration that you know this season wasn't random, and you're ready to step into what's next. Also, to those of you who've supported this channel through Super Thanks, I see you, I thank you, and I speak blessings over your generosity. Whether you gave or not, your presence here means the world. Now, let's take a step further into this revelation, because what if the struggle wasn't meant to break you, but to confirm who you really are? What if every loss was actually God protecting your destiny? Let's unpack exactly why your faithfulness in the fire has marked you forever. God's chosen ones. God gave you the hardest test, and you passed without cheating. There are moments in your life, chosen one, when everything around you seems calm, until it isn't. There's no warning siren, no manual to follow, and certainly no teacher standing in front of you saying, "This is a test." Life doesn't operate like a classroom. Instead, it shifts in silence. One morning, you're waking up to the usual, your plans laid out, your faith intact, your heart somewhat steady. But then, suddenly, without any visible sign, the atmosphere shifts. A spiritual storm begins to brew. People who once felt like home vanish without explanation. Opportunities you prayed for crumble. The money runs low. The bills rise like floodwaters. And your prayers? They seem to echo into an empty heaven. Have you ever wondered how everything could fall apart so quickly? Why would God allow this kind of chaos when all you wanted was peace? That's when you realize this was never a punishment. It was the beginning of an exam that no one saw coming. The truth is, no one around you could see the battle raging inside you. To the world, you looked like the strong one. You smiled in conversations while swallowing your cries for help. You kept showing up at work, at church, for your family, even when your heart was breaking into pieces. What they didn't see were the tear-stained pillows, the lonely nights, the overwhelming silence after every unanswered prayer. They didn't see you silently whispering, "God, why me?" or the times you nearly believed you were forgotten. But even in that deep and unseen suffering, you didn't quit. Something inside you, something sacred, held you upright. It wasn't just inner resilience, it was the voice of God, softly but firmly speaking into your soul. Not yet. Hold on. This is not the end. Just as Jesus stood firm in the wilderness when tempted by the devil for 40 days and nights, Matthew 4:1-11, you were being tested not on your knowledge, but on your endurance. your heart, and your faith. You passed a test that no one even knew you were taking, a test that didn't come with textbooks or study guides, but with pain, loss, and perseverance. And you passed not by cheating, not by escaping, but by staying, by trusting when it made no sense, by standing when you could have easily fallen. Real tests of faith aren't taken in public, they happen in private. Look at Job, a man who lost everything, his wealth, his children, his health. Even his friends believed he had done something wrong, but Job never cursed God. He wrestled, yes. He wept and questioned, but he remained faithful. In the end, God restored him with double what he lost. Job 42:10. Could it be that your suffering too is leading to something greater than you can imagine? Many people have faced silent battles like this. Let's take Tyler Perry as an example. Before becoming a world-renowned filmmaker, he lived in his car and endured years of rejection. But during those times, he never gave up on his vision. He kept writing, kept believing, and eventually his faith turned into a legacy. What if the hardest part of your story is the very foundation of your greatest breakthrough? So ask yourself, what if this wasn't meant to break you but to build you? What if the very silence you feared was God making room for your transformation? This was no ordinary test. It wasn't designed to measure your intellect, your achievements, or how much scripture you could recite by memory. No, this test was divine, sacred in its silence, and fierce in its refining fire. It was the kind of test that stripped everything away, your comfort, your plans, your support system, until all that was left was your core. And it was in that vulnerable place, where so many would have crumbled, that your true identity as one of God's chosen ones was revealed. What most people fail to grasp is that God's exam isn't about how much you know, it's about how much you can carry. It's not about having the right answers, but responding with the right heart when everything around you stops making sense. Can you still speak life when your own feels like it's unraveling? Can you stay honest when no one would notice if you took a shortcut? Can you stand firm when everything within you wants to surrender? The real test happens where no eyes can see, in the unseen places of your life, in the depths of quiet despair, in the loneliness of your private war, like Elijah in 1 Kings 19, who, after calling down fire from heaven, found himself running, weary, and hiding in a cave, convinced he was alone. God reminded him with a gentle whisper that he was never truly abandoned. Just as Elijah was sustained for the journey ahead, you, too, were sustained through something greater than you even knew at the time. The test came without warning, and though it rocked you to your core, it didn't ruin you. Why? Because beneath the fear, fatigue, and confusion, there was a flame inside you that wouldn't be extinguished. You carried something that the world rarely celebrates but heaven highly honors: grit. A quiet, unshakable grit paired with a hidden faith that kept burning even when it was cold, dark, and lonely. While no one else was watching, you chose not to betray your character. You didn't let bitterness win. You didn't abandon your principles, even though no one would have blamed you if you did. That was how you passed the first part of God's exam, not with noise or applause, but with steady obedience when everything inside you screamed for an escape. And here's what you didn't know then: every tear you cried was seen by heaven. Psalm 56, verse 8 tells us that God records our sorrows, collects every tear in his bottle, and writes each one in his book. Nothing was wasted. Not a single sleepless night or silent prayer went unnoticed. You weren't being broken, you were being built. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared for something that required this level of strength. This was your becoming. And the hardest part? You've already done it. You showed up. You stood your ground when it was easier to run. You kept your spirit soft, your heart open, and your soul aligned, even when life tried to make you cynical. Like a seed in the dark, you didn't know it then, but you were growing roots. And that chosen one is the undeniable evidence of who you are. Not the opinions of others, not the mistakes of your past, but the identity God already confirmed in the heavens before the test ever began. You're ready for more. The exam wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to reveal you. Think about it. What if this was never about survival, but about preparation for the blessing that's coming next? Could it be that the very pain you endured was actually the soil that nurtured your spiritual authority? Even in real life, this truth shows up again and again. Nelson Mandela, before becoming president of South Africa and a global symbol of justice, spent 27 years in prison. During that time, he wasn't being defeated, he was being refined. He later said, "I have walked that long road to freedom. I have discovered that after climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb." Just like you, Mandela endured the darkness not to be broken, but to be revealed. So now, if the test has revealed your resilience, what might the next chapter reveal about your purpose? There's a kind of silence that doesn't simply fill the air. It penetrates your spirit. You, chosen one, know this silence well. It's the kind that settles in after you've poured your heart out to God, after you've cried until your voice broke, after your soul whispered prayers through tears. And yet, no response, no answer, no shift, not even the faintest whisper from heaven. You weren't asking for much, just a word, a sign, some indication that God was still near. You begged for peace, pleaded for relief, longed for clarity, but the skies stayed sealed. Every door you knocked on remained shut. Every prayer seemed to return void, and the days stretched longer, more hollow, more uncertain. In that silence, the enemy whispered doubts. Was God even listening? Had he turned his face away? That kind of silence is brutal. It doesn't just feel like neglect. It feels like rejection. It feels like abandonment. It tempts your mind to believe that maybe your prayers were wasted. Maybe your trust was naive. Maybe your faith was in vain. But here's a truth that many overlook, one that has been concealed within the depths of your suffering. The silence wasn't God's absence. It was evidence of his focus. Think of it. When a teacher gives an exam, they don't hover over each student giving hints. They step back. They stay silent, not because they've left, but because they're watching closely to see what you've learned, to see what's truly inside of you. God's silence during your storm wasn't distance. It was divine observation. He was watching your character, not your comfort. Would you still believe when nothing changed? Would you keep obeying when you had no idea where he was leading you? Would you trust his heart even when you couldn't trace his hand? And you did. You didn't walk in clarity, you walked in courage. You didn't hear direction, but you still prayed as if you did. You didn't see a clear path forward, but you moved anyway. That's not ordinary faith. That's warrior faith. The kind that walks into the unknown with no evidence but conviction. It is the kind of faith that Hebrews 11:1 describes. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This faith, your faith, is forged in the fire of divine silence. It's not the kind that needs a crowd or confirmation. It grows in the quiet. It grows in the solitude where your heart speaks louder than your circumstances. Consider the story of Abraham. God promised him a son, and yet decades passed with nothing but silence and impossibility. Still, Abraham believed. Romans 4:20 tells us, "Yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God." Like Abraham, your silent season wasn't a delay in punishment. It was a deepening of purpose. In our world today, where everything demands noise and validation, few people have the courage to walk in faith when heaven goes quiet. But you did, and that makes you different. That makes you chosen. Even in real life, this principle plays out. Simone Biles, one of the greatest gymnasts in history, stepped away from competition at the peak of her career, not because she was weak, but because she was tuning out the noise to listen to what really mattered, her well-being and her truth. In her silence, she wasn't losing, she was aligning. She later said, "At the end of the day, we're human too." Her quiet decision spoke louder than any gold medal. And so it is with you. Your silence didn't mean you were losing your faith, it meant you were discovering its depth. What if that silence you feared was actually the place where your authority was born? What if God's quietness was not to confuse you, but to crown you with strength only the faithful can carry? Chosen one, you didn't just survive the silence, you grew in it. And the very storm that came to break you became the ground where your unshakable faith took root. In that sacred silence, when the world seemed to turn its back, and even heaven felt quiet, you were introduced to the real you. Not the version shaped by others' expectations or applause, but the one forged in fire and solitude. You discovered reservoirs of strength you never imagined were within you. When no one showed up to catch you, you learned to stand. When anxiety tried to smother your peace, you learned to breathe through it with trembling courage. You found a way to navigate the unknown, even when the road ahead was hidden by fog. How is it that in the quietest moments, your soul spoke the loudest? In the very eye of your personal storm, you began to see that the silence wasn't a void. It was God's workshop. He wasn't absent. He was working quietly, deliberately, deeply. Like the refiner's fire in Malachi 3:3, he was purifying you, burning away false dependencies, distractions and illusions. He was stretching your endurance far beyond comfort so that your character could be anchored in truth, not emotion. Can you see it now? How the silence was never a punishment but a preparation? You came to a profound revelation. God's silence does not equal his absence. It doesn't mean he's disappointed in you. It means the test has begun. Heaven wasn't ignoring you. It was observing, waiting, recording. What would you do when the lights went out and your prayers seemed to echo back unanswered? Would you still believe when no sign arrived? This was the proving ground, the part of the path where the chosen are separated from the casual. Like Job, who said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." Job 13:15. You stood firm not because you understood, but because you believed anyway. And still, you kept walking, not because you had clarity, not because someone handed you a blueprint, but because a voice deep inside whispered, "Keep going." That quiet trust, that still flame, was part of the test. You didn't pass because you shouted your faith from the rooftops. You passed because, even in the hush of heaven, you didn't let go. You endured, you trusted, and you grew. Famous author and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl once said, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." That's what happened to you. In the unchanging silence, you changed. In the space where answers were scarce and comfort was stripped away, your soul expanded. Isn't it amazing that the moments that felt like the end were actually your awakening? You didn't just survive that season, you were transformed in it, and now the same silence that once felt unbearable has become sacred. It was in that very quiet that God elevated your identity, not as a victim of circumstance, but as a vessel of his glory. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey where the pressure becomes so intense, the weight so crushing, that compromise starts to look like wisdom. When life corners people and hope seems scarce, many will cut corners just to catch a breath. Some will lie to escape the consequences of truth. Others will mask their identity to be liked or fit in. Many will manipulate outcomes, betray friends, or break promises just to gain an inch of success. In a world that rewards results over righteousness, where getting ahead often matters more than how you got there, integrity is treated as optional, and truth becomes a blurry, negotiable concept. But what if your test wasn't about how far you could go, but how far you would refuse to fall? What if the real exam wasn't whether you could win, but whether you could do so without selling your soul? The pressure to survive, to be seen, to prove your worth is no small thing. Even the most faithful can be tempted to bend their values to ease the pain. Just like Esau in Genesis 25, who traded his birthright for a single meal, many exchanged their future for fleeting relief. But not you. You, God's chosen one, took the harder path. You stood still while others ran. You remained upright while others bowed to pressure. You refused the shortcut that might have brought quicker results but would have left lasting regret. You could have become cold and numb, mirroring the cruelty of those who hurt you. You could have learned how to manipulate like the manipulators, deceive like the deceivers, and abandon like the ones who abandoned you. And still, no one would have blamed you. But you didn't. You chose light in a dark place. You chose to keep your heart open, your conscience clean, your identity intact, even when it cost you everything the world says matters. Time, opportunities, applause, friendships, and even rest. Isn't that what real strength looks like? Not muscles or medals, but the quiet power of refusing to become what hurt you. It takes unimaginable courage to stay gentle in a world that has become sharp and cynical. It takes more strength to resist than to retaliate. Like Joseph in Genesis, betrayed by his brothers, wrongly imprisoned and forgotten, yet he refused bitterness. He never sold his soul to get out of the dungeon, and because of that, God raised him to power not just for his sake, but to save others. Can you feel how your story echoes his? Heaven saw every moment you resisted, every time you turned down the easy path, every time you said no to what would have made life more comfortable but less meaningful. While others applauded instant results, God was taking note of eternal decisions. This wasn't just about enduring hardship, it was about enduring without becoming hard-hearted. Famous civil rights leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The time is always right to do what is right." He knew the road of truth was rarely paved with comfort. His life, too, was a testament to walking the hard road with integrity. You're in that same lineage of strength. You didn't take the easy exit. You didn't become someone you're not for approval or safety. You chose truth over trend, purpose over popularity. And that is what makes you different. That's why you're chosen. Integrity isn't flashy. It doesn't come with trophies or trending hashtags. It won't always make headlines or earn likes, but it holds weight in heaven. It is the foundation God uses when building something eternal. When you choose character over convenience, you're not just passing a test, you're preparing for divine promotion. Because what's built on lies always crumbles, but what's built on truth will withstand every storm. So now, what are you building? Something that just looks good, or something that will still be standing when the dust settles? You've proven something few ever do. You're not just capable of achieving success, you're capable of the kind of success that doesn't demand your soul in exchange. You've shown the rare strength to pursue victory without losing your values. In a world where many reach the top by sacrificing their peace, you held on to yours. While others silenced their conscience for comfort, you kept yours alive and clear. And that makes heaven smile. Why? Because the kind of success you've chosen is holy. It honors both God and the person He created you to be. Let's be honest, anyone can chase success. Anyone can grind, hustle, and climb. But how many can do it without losing sight of who they are? How many can arrive at the finish line and still look in the mirror without shame? You can. You didn't sell out. You didn't trade truth for applause. You didn't twist yourself into someone else just to be accepted. And that more than anything, is what sets you apart. That's what confirms you are not ordinary, you are chosen. Remember Daniel in the lion's den. He rose to great power in a corrupt kingdom, but never once did he compromise his faith or identity. Even when threatened with death, he chose prayer over public approval. He refused to bend, and because of that, God shut the mouths of lions and honored him before kings. Doesn't your journey feel a bit like his? Standing for what's right when everyone else bows is not weakness, it's divine strength. You didn't just pass the exam, you passed with distinction. You didn't crawl through trials just to say you made it. You walked through fire and came out purified. You remained authentic when faking it would have made life easier. That kind of resilience isn't taught in school or trained in seminars. It's something God deposited in your spirit long before you knew you'd need it. And now it's revealing its true power. Actor and humanitarian Denzel Washington once said, "Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. In choosing the hard but honest way, you've progressed farther than many who appear to be ahead. You're not just building a life, you're laying a foundation no storm can destroy. Because you refuse to compromise, your soul stands on rock, not sand. And now look at what's happening. Because you stayed grounded in truth, your life has become unshakable. Your peace, your character, your identity, none of it can be taken away. What you're constructing, whether it's a dream, a family, a mission, or a legacy, it's being built to last. Not because you have all the answers, but because your heart stayed aligned with truth. The reward waiting for you isn't only what's coming next, it's also who you've become. You've grown into someone unbreakable, someone forged in fire but not burned, someone whose spirit is clothed in strength and dignity, like the woman in Proverbs 31:25, who laughs without fear of the future. Can you feel it? The shift in the atmosphere? The evidence of a soul that didn't bend but blossomed? You are strong, you are pure, you are steadfast, you are chosen. And because of that, your story is only just beginning. Let's not sugarcoat it. You nearly broke. There were moments that brought you to your knees, times when the weight on your chest made it hard to even breathe. The heaviness of it all wasn't just emotional. It drained your body, wore down your spirit, and left your soul echoing with silent cries for relief. Every sunrise didn't feel like hope. It felt like another mountain you weren't sure you had the strength to climb. Did you ever wonder how you were even still standing? Your energy was depleted. Your prayers felt unanswered. You gave everything you had, and still the storm raged on. And the worst part, it felt like you were being punished for doing the right thing. You followed the narrow path, and yet life kept hitting you harder. You stayed honest, kind, patient, while those who cheated, lied, or manipulated seemed to get ahead with ease. Didn't it feel unfair? Didn't it make you ask God, why am I suffering when I'm doing everything right? You weren't alone in those questions. Even David, the man after God's own heart, cried out in Psalm 13:1, "How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me?" That raw, aching question has passed through the hearts of every chosen one. You looked around and saw others smiling, succeeding, living freely, while you carried pain like a second skin. You wondered if something was wrong with you. You felt left out, overlooked, exhausted. You may have asked, why me? Why now? How much more can I take? But beneath the breaking, something divine was taking place. You weren't being torn apart. You were being opened. God wasn't abandoning you. He was awakening you. The pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. You were being stretched, pulled beyond the limits of who you were, into the person He created you to become. Could it be that what you thought was your breaking point was really your breakthrough moment? Like the story of Gideon in Judges 6, you may have felt too weak for the fight. He questioned God's calling, saying, My clan is the weakest, and I am the least in my family. Yet God called him a mighty warrior. Why? Because God saw who he truly was, even when Gideon couldn't. Isn't it possible that this season was God's way of showing you the strength you never knew you had? Pressure creates diamonds, fire refines gold, and trials birth chosen ones. Every wave that tried to drown you was actually washing away your fear. Every closed door was God's way of redirecting you to something greater. And every time you cried alone, heaven was collecting your tears, not as signs of weakness, but as seeds of your becoming. Author Elizabeth Gilbert, best known for her memoir, Eat, Pray, Love, once said, "Ruin is a gift. Ruin is the road to transformation." Her words echo a truth many discover only after the pain. What felt like ruin was the very road God used to reveal your resilience. Your breakdowns became breakthroughs in disguise. So now, take a step back and really see what was happening. God was chiseling away everything that didn't belong, the fear that kept you stuck, the doubt that made you small, the insecurities that whispered you weren't enough. Every hardship was sculpting you into someone unshakable. Every trial was sharpening your spiritual edge. Every tear you cried was watering the soil where your purpose would grow. You weren't just surviving, you were transforming, becoming someone more resilient, more radiant, more real. Your soul was being fortified with steel and laced with light, and as painful as it was, this was the necessary breaking, the kind that builds, not destroys. And what if the breaking wasn't to tear you down, but to let the real you finally rise? You see, what nearly broke you didn't end your story. It started a whole new chapter. The breaking wasn't your downfall, it was your divine awakening. You weren't merely surviving pain, you were being sculpted by it. Every disappointment, every delay, every heartbreak, they weren't random. They were sacred parts of the process that brought you here. You were never just enduring it. You were evolving through it. And though it stung, though you sometimes cried yourself to sleep, questioning if God still saw you, it was necessary. You couldn't reach the mountaintop without first walking through the valley. That's the hidden truth most people overlook. Real growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. True strength isn't born from safety. It's forged in adversity. Like a tree that strengthens its roots by facing the wind, your soul was anchoring itself through every storm you refused to run from. Let me ask you, what if everything that hurt you was also healing you? What if those tears were watering the very soil where your destiny would bloom? This is the holy paradox of chosen ones. Your pain wasn't proof of God's absence, it was evidence of his preparation. Think of Moses, who was exiled to the desert for 40 years before God called him to lead a nation. Or Ruth, who lost everything before finding redemption and becoming part of the lineage of Jesus. The pattern is clear. Those God uses powerfully are often broken deeply. Why? Because brokenness removes what is false. So the truth can finally rise. You've stood face to face with storms and came out stronger. You've stared down the voices of doubt and silenced them with your faith. You've shed layers of who you thought you needed to be. And now what remains is something rare, the real you. Pure, resilient, grounded, unshakable. You've emerged from the fire not burned, but refined. You've passed through the floodwaters and haven't drowned. Isaiah 43:2 reminds us of this promise. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. That verse wasn't just written for ancient times. It was written for you, for this exact moment. What God has pulled out of you through pressure and pain is nothing less than extraordinary. The diamond has been uncovered. The gold has been purified. Your soul now glows with a brilliance that can't be dimmed. You've become someone forged by fire, not easily shaken by wind. The world may not fully understand the depth of what you've endured, but heaven knows. And here's what matters most. You know. You know what it took. You know what you lost. And now you know what you've gained. This wasn't just preparation for a season. It was transformation for a lifetime. Steve Harvey, a man of faith and perseverance, once said, "Your setback is just a setup for your comeback." You've lived that truth. Everything that tried to break you has only built you. And now nothing stands in your way. The hardest part is behind you. The foundation beneath you is solid, and the vision before you is divine. You aren't walking into your future wounded. You're walking in as a warrior. You're not starting over. You're stepping into what was always yours, now with the wisdom, humility, and power to carry it. So here's the truth. You are ready. Ready to step boldly into your purpose. Ready to walk with authority into your destiny. Ready to live the life God carved out for you before you were even born. And the most incredible part, you're just getting started. You didn't get a round of applause. No confetti fell from the ceiling. There were no standing ovations the day you forgave someone who never apologized. No one clapped when you chose love over bitterness, or when you kept showing up with a quiet spirit while your heart was breaking behind the scenes. The world missed those moments, the moments that mattered most. You didn't receive an award for walking away from drama, for choosing peace over revenge, or for carrying burdens that no one else could see. There were no Instagram posts celebrating your private victories. No one broadcast the nights you cried, but still prayed. But just because people didn't notice doesn't mean heaven wasn't watching. While the world was busy measuring success by status, God was measuring the strength of your soul. He was watching the hidden choices, the ones no one else ever saw. You didn't need a stage. You didn't need a spotlight, because God was grading you on a different scale, not by appearance, not by performance, but by perseverance, by the quiet, holy decisions that shaped your spirit. Like when you responded to insult with grace, when you chose to heal instead of harbor hate, when you kept walking forward with trembling faith when quitting would have felt so much easier. Do you realize how rare that kind of strength is? The world rewards visibility, but heaven honors integrity. Consider the story of the widow in Luke 21:1-4. Jesus watched as wealthy people gave large offerings at the temple, but then came a poor widow who gave 2 small coins, all she had. She was unnoticed by the crowd, but seen by God. Jesus said she gave more than all the others. Why? Because heaven doesn't grade based on quantity. It grades based on sacrifice. That's what your journey has been about. The hidden tests, the silent triumphs. And while no one handed you a trophy, the applause of heaven was already resounding. God saw every unseen struggle, every prayer whispered through tears. Every time you laid your pride down and chose faith over fear. Every time you walked in obedience, even when the reward seemed invisible. And that's when the real promotion began. Not the kind that flashes with status or wealth, but the kind no man can take away. Divine elevation. You weren't promoted on paper, you were promoted in spirit. And when God promotes you, no force on earth can reverse it. Have you started to notice it? How the atmosphere around you is shifting. How closed doors are cracking open. How the things you used to chase are now finding their way to you. That's not luck. That's a reward. That's a spiritual graduation into your next level. Peace is returning. Not a shallow peace based on perfect circumstances, but a deep, unshakable peace. A knowing in your spirit that you are right where God wants you to be. The noise of the world is finally fading. The clamor of needing to be seen, liked, validated, it's losing its grip. And in that sacred silence, you found what many never will, your true purpose. The assignment that was written into your soul before you were born. The mission heaven always intended for you to fulfill. And now that purpose is louder than the pain, clearer than the chaos. It's leading you forward like a compass made of fire and faith. Entrepreneur and philanthropist Tyler Perry once said, "Sometimes your blessings are in the breaking. Sometimes your promotion comes after your patience. And you, chosen one, have lived that truth. You didn't rush the process. You didn't need man's recognition, because now you carry something far more valuable, the evidence of heaven's approval. So here's the question: can you feel the shift? Can you sense that the next chapter has already begun? Because it has. And it's being written in bold, holy ink by the hand of God himself. God always honors faithfulness, especially the kind that blossoms in silence. He has seen you. Every tear you cried when no one was around. Every whispered prayer that felt like it barely reached the ceiling. Every time you chose to keep going, even when the path ahead was unclear and the weight was too much. You may have thought no one noticed. But heaven noticed. God noticed. And he was never measuring your progress by applause, but by the condition of your heart. He saw the nights you stayed obedient, even when the breakthrough didn't come. He saw the moments you chose righteousness over revenge, peace over pride, humility over recognition, and he counted it all, not for your punishment, but for your promotion. Can you believe that your private pain was building a public purpose? Because here's the truth: the real reward isn't found in people praising your efforts. It's found in the blessing of knowing heaven has been backing you all along. Your loyalty, your faith, your inner strength. Those are the things God uses to elevate his chosen ones. That's what sets you apart. That's what places you in position for things beyond your imagination. Do you remember the story of Hannah in 1 Samuel 1? She wept silently in the temple, begging God for a child, while others misunderstood her pain. No one saw the depth of her sorrow, but God did. And in time, not only did he bless her with a son, Samuel, he gave her one of the greatest prophets Israel would ever know. Her silent cries became the foundation of something extraordinary. Isn't your story unfolding the same way? You didn't get the worldly applause. You didn't hear loud cheers when you made the hard choices in secret. But what you didn't hear in the natural was thundering in the spiritual. Heaven was on its feet. Angels were standing at attention. Your silent yes echoed through eternity. And now, you've crossed into a new dimension. Doors are beginning to open, not because you forced them, but because you passed the test of obedience and endurance. A peace is entering your life. Not the kind the world gives, but the kind Jesus promised in John 14:27, when he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives." That peace is a sign you're aligned with divine timing. Purpose is awakening inside you now, louder, clearer, bolder than ever before. You can feel it, can't you? That stirring within your spirit. That confirmation that everything you went through had a reason. You weren't just being tested, you were being transformed. And here's the most powerful part: God never forgets faithfulness in silence. While others may have overlooked you, heaven has never taken its eyes off you. And now promotion is no longer a possibility. It's your reality. You're being lifted from within. You're being elevated in ways that will soon become visible to everyone who once doubted you. Can you see the fruit forming? Can you feel the shift? Because this is no longer preparation. This is the beginning of the promise, and you're walking into it with nothing missing, nothing broken, just pure, holy strength. You are being promoted not just in position, but in purpose. And the world is about to witness what heaven has long affirmed. You've carried this quiet question for years. Why do I feel so different? Why do I never seem to fit in, no matter how much I try? You've watched others find their path, form connections, and seemingly move forward while you remain stuck in a fog of uncertainty. The loneliness was not just emotional, it was spiritual. It felt like you were walking a path no one else could understand, and honestly, most days, it hurt. But something deep inside whispered that your journey was different, and that whisper was right, because the chosen are always separated before they are elevated. You see, the path of the chosen is never crowded. It's not paved with popularity or ease. It's carved through seasons of isolation. But here's the truth most people miss. You weren't isolated because you were being punished. You were being prepared, set apart not for rejection, but for purpose. God pulled you away from the noise of the crowd so you could hear his voice clearly. Moses knew this path. Before he became the deliverer of Israel, he spent 40 years in the wilderness, alone, unknown, and misunderstood. But it was in that hidden place that God revealed himself through a burning bush and changed the course of history. Do you see the pattern? Separation always precedes revelation. You may have felt abandoned, forgotten, even invisible, but in that solitude, you began to meet the most important person you could ever know, your true self. Without the distractions, without the pressure to perform, your vision started to sharpen. Your identity became clearer. That quiet room you once despised became sacred ground. It wasn't isolation, it was divine incubation. So let me ask you, could it be that the people who walked away were actually making room for what God wanted to do through you? You had to learn to stand without applause, to believe without confirmation, to speak truth even when your voice trembled. You had to face your fears without leaning on someone else's courage. You had to walk through valleys where no one could guide you but God. And that walk, though silent and often unseen, was forming you. This wasn't a season of loneliness, it was a season of refining. Like iron in the fire, you were being forged into someone the world would soon need. Before a leader is given the crowd, they must first be faithful in the wilderness. Like David tending sheep in fields no one cared about, you were learning obedience, humility, and trust. And just like David, your time to lead will come. But first, you had to walk alone. Best-selling author Brené Brown once said, "You can choose courage or you can choose comfort, but you cannot choose both." You chose courage. You chose to face the silence, to search your soul, and to let God shape you away from the spotlight. That choice, the hard one, the holy one, is why you're now ready to rise. You were never truly alone. You were hidden, protected, prepared. In that quiet space, your voice was being purified, not shaped by opinions, but by truth. You were being taught to listen to your own heart before giving it to the needs of others. Because a chosen one cannot lead others until they first know how to lead themselves. And now, the season of separation is turning into one of activation. What was once a wilderness is about to become your launch pad. It's always in the silence that the deepest truths are revealed. In the stillness, where no praise echoed, where no one validated your steps, you discovered something priceless. You found your purpose. You unearthed a strength that didn't come from crowds or applause, but from communion with God. And in that sacred solitude, something awakened in you, a vision that was never meant to be seen by the world until it was ready to shine through you. You were never truly alone. What you called isolation, heaven called preparation. While others were rushing ahead, you were being rooted. While the world measured progress in noise, God was measuring it in stillness. And now, you carry something most people miss: wisdom earned in secret. In that private place, you gained more than answers. You gained clarity, courage, and spiritual authority. You learned how to lead, not from a place of emptiness, but from the overflow of a soul filled with truth. You no longer look outward for validation. You no longer wait for others to approve what God already confirmed in your spirit. Can you see how far you've come? You are now defined not by applause, but by vision. Like Nehemiah, who rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem while ignoring the voices of distraction, you've learned to stay focused. Nehemiah didn't need consensus, he needed conviction. And so do you. Because it's vision, not validation, that will carry you to the heights you were born to reach. It may have felt like you were falling behind, like life was passing you by while you stood still, but that wasn't delay. It was divine refinement. Every moment you spent in the background wasn't wasted. You were building spiritual muscle. You were deepening your well. You were aligning with your identity, so when your moment came, you wouldn't crumble under the weight of the calling. And now, the moment is here. The spotlight you once feared is about to find you, not because you chased it, but because you've been prepared for it. The silence you endured is giving way to sound, the sound of doors opening, of hearts awakening to your voice, of destinies aligning with your influence. Like Esther, who spent a season hidden in the palace before stepping into her assignment to save a nation, you've been positioned for impact. And now God is saying, you were born for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were meant to walk alone for a while, so when the crowd finally follows you, they'll follow authenticity, not performance, not charisma, but truth. You are not the same person who entered the valley. You're stronger, sharper, spiritually anchored, and because you endured, because you remained faithful in the quiet seasons, you are now ready to lead. This is your season of emergence. The time of hiding has passed. The time of impact has begun. So now, chosen one, stand tall, step forward, speak boldly, lead with vision. You don't need anyone's permission. God has already appointed you. You were hidden for a reason, and now you will be revealed for a purpose. And this time, they won't just hear your voice, they'll follow it. You've passed the exam, not just barely, but with grace, perseverance, and a quiet strength that no storm could take from you. You endured what would have crushed many. You stood through emotional hurricanes, spiritual warfare, and soul-deep wounds that tried to silence your purpose and steal your identity. You walked through nights that nearly shattered your faith, but you never folded. You never sold your truth to escape the test. You didn't let the pain rewrite your worth. And now, you are more than a survivor. You are a guide. You carry more than scars. You carry wisdom. You hold more than memories. You hold messages. What you went through was never just for you. Every silent night, every whispered prayer, every moment you stayed faithful when quitting would have been easier, none of it was wasted. Why? Because God never wastes pain. Look at the life of Joseph in Genesis, betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and left in prison. But when he rose to power in Egypt, do you remember what he said to his brothers? You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive. Genesis 50:20. Joseph's pain became a pathway for deliverance, and so has yours. That lonely road you walked in the dark, it's now a map for someone else's escape. That voice you found while the world was silent, it's now a torchlight for those still trapped in the shadows. The wisdom born from your wounds has become someone else's answer. The very fire that tried to consume you has now lit a lamp within you, and that lamp is meant to guide others home. You know what it feels like to question your worth, to feel invisible, forgotten, overlooked. You remember what it's like to walk into a room and feel like you don't belong, to smile while silently screaming. And because you've lived it, not read about it, you now have the gift of recognition. You can see what others miss. You can discern the hidden pain in someone's eyes. You can spot the silent battles behind the strongest facades. That's why you're being called to teach, lead, and lift. Not from a place of superiority, but from deep empathy. You're not just sharing answers, you're sharing lived experience. You won't preach from theory, but from transformation. That makes you dangerous to darkness. That makes you a healer to the hurting. You were once the one reaching out in the dark. Now you're the one holding the light. You were once asking, God, why me? Now you're declaring, God, use me. Famous author and speaker Iyanla Vanzant, who rose from brokenness to become a global voice of healing, once said, your mess is your ministry. And she's right. What you thought was just suffering was actually shaping. It's now your sacred assignment. So here's the question. Are you ready to teach? Not by lecture, but by living testimony, because someone out there is praying for a sign. Someone is walking the path you once crawled through. And your voice, your journey, your scars, they are the evidence that survival is possible, that healing is real, that faith still works. You are no longer in the test. You are now the teacher. And this next chapter of your life, it isn't about enduring anymore. It's about empowering. Speak life, not from a pulpit, not from a stage, but from the very core of who you are. You don't need a microphone to preach. Your life is the sermon, the way you carry yourself, the way you love, the way you show up with compassion. That's your ministry. Encourage the discouraged. Remind the weary of who they truly are. Tell the broken-hearted that they're not too far gone. Tell the overlooked that they're not forgotten. Tell the hopeless that their story isn't over, because you were once in their shoes. And now you are the voice you once needed to hear. Don't be afraid to share your story, especially the parts that still sting. Those unhealed moments, those scars you still carry, they're not a sign of weakness. They're proof that healing is possible. People don't need polished perfection. They need truth. They need real. When you speak from the heart, walls crumble. When you tell the truth of what God brought you through, you give others permission to believe that freedom is possible for them too. Remember the woman at the well in John 4. One encounter with Jesus changed her entire identity. She went from shame to strength in one conversation, and what did she do? She ran back to her town and told everyone, "Come see a man who told me everything I ever did." She didn't wait until she was perfect. She spoke while the water was still dripping from her jar. So, speak now. Don't wait until you feel ready. You already are. Lift others as you climb. True greatness doesn't hoard glory. It multiplies it. As God raises you, stay rooted in humility. Don't forget the wilderness that formed you once you reach the mountain, because the same hand that lifted you is calling you to now lift someone else. You lose nothing by helping others win. In fact, you multiply your impact when you pour into those who are still in the valley you once called home. You're no longer just being tested. Now you're trusted. God doesn't assign mission to the unrefined. He gives the hardest exams to the strongest students, not to crush them, but to build them into vessels he can use. And now, after everything you've endured, after the storms you've survived, and the soul you've surrendered, heaven sees you not just as a student, but as a leader, a voice, a light in the darkness. You've been found faithful, and because of that, you've been found ready. You're not the same person who entered the test. You're wiser, sharper, softer in love, stronger in spirit. You're no longer just surviving. You're carrying the mantle. God is handing you your next assignment: to lead, to love, to teach, and to transform. Not just through your words, but through the example of your life. And now, the world is waiting. There are people assigned to your voice, hearts assigned to your healing, lives that will only shift when you begin to speak. Your presence will break chains. Your words will water dry souls. Your obedience will open doors for generations after you, because you didn't just pass the test. You became the teacher. And heaven is now saying, you are released. You are ready. You are chosen. Now go. As you look back on the journey you've walked, remember this: God entrusted you with the hardest test because he knew you had the strength, resilience, and heart to conquer it. It wasn't about the struggle or the pain you endured. It was about your perseverance, your unshakable faith, and the way you refused to compromise your integrity when faced with the most challenging moments. You didn't take shortcuts. You didn't cheat. You stayed true to yourself and to the God who has always been with you, even in the hardest times. And because of that, you didn't just survive, you thrived. God has tested you, not to harm you, but to refine you, to prepare you for the great purpose He has set before you. The trials you've faced are not your end, but a stepping stone to the abundant future God has planned for you. You've been chosen for something far greater than what you see right now, and the strength you've gained through your struggles will carry you into that destiny. Now is the time to celebrate the victory you've already won. Your journey, though difficult, has prepared you to lead, to inspire, and to fulfill your divine calling. You are not defined by your struggles. You are defined by how you overcame them with God's strength. If this message has touched your heart, we invite you to consider supporting this ministry through Super Thanks. Your contributions, no matter how big or small, allow us to continue spreading the light of God's truth and encouragement to those who need it most. We want to take this moment to thank you, whether you choose to donate or not. Your presence, your support, and your prayers mean more than words can express. As we continue to walk this path together, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who may be encouraged by it, and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting messages. Your comments are always welcome. We would love to hear how God has been working in your life and how this message has inspired you. May God bless you abundantly in every area of your life. May He guide your every step, strengthen your spirit, and continue to reveal His divine purpose for you. Know this: you are chosen, you are loved, and your best days are ahead of you. Keep trusting, keep moving forward, and never forget, you are chosen. Dear chosen ones, if your eyes are on this message right now, understand something sacred. This is not coincidence. It's a divine alignment. Heaven has drawn you here, not just to inspire you, but to activate something deep within you. Tonight, God is not whispering, He is declaring with undeniable clarity that your time has come. This is your moment of revelation, your shift, your divine unlocking. The billions that have been spoken over your life, they are not a metaphor. They are real, they are coming, and they are backed by the full authority of God's word. Yes, you heard that right. Billions, not thousands, not just enough, but overflow beyond your imagination. Abundance that silences every past limitation. Wealth that doesn't just bless you, but transforms everyone connected to you. You're stepping into a season where supernatural favor, financial freedom, and generational legacy will flood your life in waves too powerful to resist. And here's the truth: nothing, not fear, not delay, not even the past, can stop what God has already set in motion for you. The spiritual contract is signed. The floodgates are opening. All that's left is for you to walk into it. Before we go deeper, I want to pause and thank those of you who have already sown into this mission by donating through Super Thanks. Your generosity is not just noticed, it is honored. You are helping carry this message into places we could never reach alone. Your seed is fueling a global awakening for the chosen ones like yourself. And whether you give or not, please know this: you are deeply appreciated. Just your presence here means you're part of something far greater than yourself. Now, I need you to do something powerful. Drop the number 777 in the comments. This sacred number is not superstition, it's a signal, a spiritual code that tells heaven, I'm ready, ready to receive, ready to rise, ready to carry the billions with purpose, with humility, and with bold obedience. And if you truly know that you are among God's chosen, you won't just listen halfway. You'll stay to the end, because something in your spirit already recognizes this message. This is not motivation. This is confirmation. Get ready, chosen one, because what you're about to hear next won't just change your mindset. It will change your entire reality. The instructions, the revelations, the prophetic keys, they are all waiting for you just beyond this opening. And once you hear them, there is no going back. Tonight is the turning point. Let's dive in, because heaven is already moving. God's chosen ones, God says, listen tonight. Billions are coming. Chosen one, tonight is not just another evening. This is a sacred appointment, a divine summons with eternity written all over it. God is speaking directly to you with a clarity so strong it cuts through the noise of the world. He's saying, listen, my beloved, I am about to unleash blessings so vast, so abundant, so transformational that your current reality will no longer recognize you. This isn't about mere survival. This is about billions, resources, strategies, opportunities, and divine wealth, all aligned to elevate you into a realm of supernatural influence. Pause and ask yourself, what if this isn't just a hopeful message, but your divine moment to awaken? You didn't arrive here by accident. Every delay, every closed door, every sleepless night has been divinely orchestrated. God has been refining your character, stretching your faith, and sharpening your discernment for this exact season. Why would he do all that unless something extraordinary was coming? Let's take a moment to reflect on the story of Oprah Winfrey. Born into poverty, raised amid adversity, yet positioned by purpose. She didn't just gain wealth. She became a conduit for healing, education, and empowerment. Could it be that your pain has also been preparation? As it is written, see, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. God is not whispering tonight. He is declaring, and he is asking, do you perceive it? Can you feel it in your spirit? The stirring, the undeniable pull towards something greater? The billions he is speaking of are not random riches. They are part of a divine plan to bring you into financial freedom and spiritual fullness. You were never meant to live paycheck to paycheck, constantly chasing after just enough. You were created to steward overflow. This isn't prosperity for ego. This is prosperity for impact. Let's be clear, these billions are not the end goal. They're the beginning of a holy mission. A chosen one like you is not blessed just to bask in comfort. You are blessed to build, to elevate, to transform. Think about Tyler Perry, who once lived in his car, but became a mogul who now owns his own studio and employs thousands. Do you think that's coincidence? No, that's divine alignment. The same hand of God that lifted him is ready to lift you. And this time, it's not just a blessing for you. It's a wave that will carry others too. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. 2 Corinthians 9:8. Are you ready for that level of abundance? Are you truly ready to carry the responsibility of billions, not just in dollars, but in lives changed, systems reformed, generations freed? Because, chosen one, this is what's at stake. You are not being elevated for vanity. You are being elevated for vision, for divine legacy. Maybe your path will be like Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, who turned a modest coffee company into a global phenomenon, one that gave healthcare to part-time workers and revived entire neighborhoods. Schultz once said he couldn't ignore the pull to do more than business. He felt responsible for people's lives. That's what happens when you're chosen. You stop living for yourself. You start building for something eternal. Tonight, God is saying, I will go before you and level the mountains. I will break down gates of bronze and cut through bars of iron. Isaiah 45:2. That means he's removing obstacles, tearing down barriers, and clearing the path for you to receive what he's already prepared. But he's asking for something in return. your alignment, not perfection, not performance, alignment. Will you trust him even when the route is unfamiliar? Will you obey even when the instructions stretch your comfort? The wealth that's coming will require wisdom. It will require stewardship. Look at the story of J.K. Rowling, who wrote the first Harry Potter book as a single mother on welfare. Her billions came after rejection, ridicule, and seasons of waiting. But she didn't just keep the wealth. She gave away hundreds of millions to charity, becoming one of the world's most generous givers. This is what chosen ones do with overflow. They multiply it into miracles. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth without painful toil for it. Proverbs 10:22. Do you believe that? Can you truly receive the idea that you don't have to exhaust yourself for God's provision? That obedience is your currency and faith is your foundation? God is reminding you, this is not hustle wealth. This is harvest wealth. You've planted in tears, and now it's time to reap in joy. Chosen one, hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. When you surrender your fears, doubts, and limitations, you are not losing control. You are giving God full permission to move. And when you give God permission, miracles follow. The billions aren't just a future promise. They are already in motion, flowing toward you like a divine river ready to break its banks. The only thing God is asking of you is simple yet powerful. Believe and receive. But let me ask you, what would happen if you finally stopped resisting and fully opened your heart to receive what's already yours? Let's go deeper. Think of Joseph, son of Jacob, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and thrown into prison. He had every reason to give up, every excuse to lose faith. But he didn't. Joseph held on to the vision God gave him, even when it looked like the opposite was happening. And then, when the time was right, God elevated him to the second most powerful position in Egypt, blessed with authority, strategy, and yes, wealth. Do you see the pattern? God's chosen often go through preparation in the shadows before they shine in the spotlight. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5:6. Are you willing to trust his timing even when the wait feels endless? Are you willing to surrender your logic so he can activate his power? Because chosen one, just like Joseph, every delay in your life has been divine positioning. You haven't been punished, you've been prepared. And what's coming will make every tear worth it. Take a breath right now. Say this aloud with conviction. I am ready to receive the billions God has for me. Say it again, louder this time. Not because God needs to hear it. He already knows your heart. Say it because you need to hear yourself declare your faith. Faith comes by hearing, and tonight your own voice is the trumpet that signals heaven to release what's been held for you. Let's talk about what these billions really mean. They are not just for comfort or luxury. They are meant to ignite transformation in your life and in the lives you touch. Imagine waking up with no fear of lack, knowing that every vision God placed in your heart can now be funded. Imagine building homes for single mothers, paying for cancer treatments, supporting missions around the world, or even writing a check that saves an entire community. That's not fantasy. That's the kind of life you were chosen to live. Take the story of Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx. She started with $5,000 in savings and an idea no one believed in. She faced rejection, mockery, and failure, but she pressed forward. Today, she's a billionaire and one of the youngest self-made female entrepreneurs in history. But what makes her stand out isn't just her wealth, it's how she gives. She's donated millions to help women, education, and entrepreneurship. That's divine abundance in action. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. You were never designed to live in lack, chosen one. Your identity is abundance, but the enemy will try to make you forget that. He will whisper lies like, "You're too late," or "You're too broken," or "God skipped over you." But hear me now, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. That promise wasn't just for survival, it was for your divine rise. The enemy can try to delay your blessing, but he cannot deny what God has already decreed. And that brings us to timing, because I know you've been asking, when, God? When will it finally happen? Maybe you've faced one closed door after another. Maybe you're tired, but let me tell you something. The world doesn't understand. God's delays are never denials. They are divine detours meant to protect, develop, and prepare you. Steve Harvey was homeless and sleeping in his car before he ever made it on stage. Today, he's not only wealthy, he's using his platform to mentor youth, fund scholarships, and bring faith into mainstream spaces. What if God is writing your breakthrough the same way? For everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Your season has a name, and that name is now. God doesn't rush preparation, but when he moves suddenly. Tonight, he's saying, your season of billions has arrived. Can you feel it? The weight in your spirit? That's confirmation. You're not hearing this by chance. This is your Kairos moment, God's appointed time. And if you're still unsure, let me remind you of Esther, a young woman who thought she was ordinary, but God positioned her for a supernatural purpose, to save her people and shift the future of an entire nation. She didn't chase riches, she chased obedience. And the result? Divine favor, royal positioning, and lasting impact. Chosen one, God is doing the same with you. What looks like obscurity today will soon look like destiny fulfilled. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3:20. You don't have to figure out how the billions will come. That's God's job. Your only task is to stay in faith, stay obedient, and stay aligned. You don't chase wealth. Wealth chases you when you walk in divine assignment. Chosen one, the billions that are being released into your life are not just a lavish blessing, they are a divine assignment. These resources are sacred tools, not just to elevate your life, but to fulfill a heavenly destiny uniquely written for you. God didn't call you to riches for vanity. He called you to impact, to transformation, to eternal legacy. The billions coming are not a prize for being good. They're a mandate for being chosen. But here's the question. How do you prepare to carry something this heavy and holy? Let's get practical. This isn't just about shouting amen to a prophecy. This is about stepping into divine alignment with intention. And the very first step, renew your mind. For too long, many of God's chosen have believed that struggle is holy, that suffering is permanent, that poverty somehow proves purity. But God's word challenges that thinking directly. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Chosen one, when was the last time you really asked yourself, do I see myself the way God sees me? Because until you do, you'll keep settling for less than what heaven already approved. Think of Kanye West, a controversial figure no doubt, but someone who dared to publicly proclaim Jesus is King and take his creative influence in a bold new direction. When the world said it was career suicide, he renewed his mind and restructured his vision. Whether you agree with every step he took, the truth is undeniable. He shifted culture and entered a new financial dimension after aligning his mission with a message. What if the shift you're afraid to make is the one that unlocks your next level? Next, align your actions with your faith. It's one thing to believe that billions are coming, but it's another to behave like it. What are you doing now that says, I'm ready? Are you learning how to manage money wisely? Are you taking that leap to start your ministry, launch that business, or support causes that matter? Remember this: faith without works is dead. James 2:17. God is not looking for spectators, He's looking for stewards. Chosen one, what's one step you can take today that reflects the faith you say you have? Let me bring up Magic Johnson, not only a basketball legend, but a businessman who went from athletic excellence to becoming a financial powerhouse. Why? Because he didn't just pray for opportunity, he prepared for it. He studied, he moved, he invested, and now he uses his billions to open doors for others, from underserved neighborhoods to minority-owned businesses. He aligned his action with his purpose. So let me ask you, are you preparing like the billions are already here? Third, guard your heart, because not everyone will understand what God is doing with you. People will project their limits onto your vision. Some may call you delusional, greedy, or unqualified, but your response must be spiritual, not emotional. The enemy will try to sow doubt in moments of vulnerability, but the word of God stands firm. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. Who are you listening to, chosen one? Are they feeding your fear or fueling your faith? Take a lesson from Viola Davis, who rose from deep poverty and trauma to become an icon of excellence, all while staying grounded in gratitude and faith. She has spoken often about how she had to protect her mind from the noise of critics and her heart from the scars of her past. That emotional guarding allowed her to flourish, first inwardly, then outwardly. Chosen one, some of your biggest breakthroughs will come not when you get more, but when you release the internal blocks, keeping you from receiving what God already said is yours. Fourth and finally, stay connected to God, because wealth without divine wisdom is dangerous. Money without mission becomes meaningless. Chosen one, your spiritual life must expand just as your financial capacity does. That's why God is calling you deeper into prayer, gratitude, worship, and obedience. The billions coming are a trust, and trust must be built on relationship. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, and I in you, you will bear much fruit. John 15:5. Do you want fruit that lasts? Then root yourself in him. Look at David Green, the billionaire founder of Hobby Lobby. He built an empire based on biblical principles, tithing most of his company's profits and openly glorifying God in his business decisions. He didn't just build wealth, he built a spiritual legacy. Your billions must serve something eternal, something bigger than yourself. Chosen one, close your eyes, not to escape, but to envision. Picture this, a mighty, ceaseless river rushing toward you. But this isn't just a river of currency. This is a supernatural flow of divine favor, world-changing connections, and destiny-altering opportunities. Can you see yourself standing in it? Not fearful, not overwhelmed, but powerful. Not drowning, but directing the current. That's not a fantasy. That's your future. And it begins tonight. You weren't created to beg for blessings. You were born to command them with faith. God is placing wealth in your hands not to make you rich, but to make you ready. Ready to impact, to transform, to elevate generations. But let me ask you, what if the prosperity that's coming is far bigger than you imagined? Not just a reward, but a responsibility. Are you willing to carry wealth that echoes eternity? Remember what Jesus said, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Matthew 5:16. The billions are not just to fill your pockets, they are to glorify the one who sent them. Imagine people looking at your life and not just seeing success, but seeing God. They'll ask, "How did you rise so high?" And your answer will be simple, "I followed the voice of the Lord." Look at Oprah Winfrey, who rose from abuse and poverty to build a billion-dollar platform. But more than that, she built hope. Schools in South Africa, scholarships for young leaders, Global movements birthed from obedience. Her wealth has become a mirror reflecting God's grace, compassion, and timing. Chosen one, you are next in line. Do you believe that? But here's the truth. The enemy will try everything to stop you. He'll send distractions dressed as good ideas, delays that look like denials, and discouragements that whisper, maybe it's not for you. But you must stand firm. Why? Because this isn't just about your bank account, it's about your assignment. The devil doesn't attack what isn't dangerous. Your calling terrifies him. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no human mind has conceived the things God has prepared for those who love him. 1 Corinthians 2:9. The ripple effect of your wealth is going to shake cities. Imagine funding a hospital, starting an academy for underprivileged children, supporting a prison ministry that brings redemption to the forgotten. That's not a dream. It's what billions make possible. Consider Robert F. Smith, the billionaire investor who paid off student loan debt for an entire graduating class at Morehouse College. That one act changed hundreds of lives forever. Chosen one, what if you are being positioned for a miracle like that, not just to receive, but to release? Now let's address the doubts. Some of you are thinking, this sounds too good to be true, but listen, God is not a man that he should lie, nor a son of man that he should change his mind. Numbers 23:19. If God has spoken billions over your life, then in the spiritual realm, it's already done. You're not waiting on the blessing. The blessing is waiting on you to believe, to align, and to step in faith. Let's explore the supernatural side of this. God is not limited by your income, your education, or your environment. He's the same God who parted the Red Sea, who fed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish, who raised the dead. And you think he can't bring billions into your life? With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. Matthew 19:26. Say it again, all things are possible. So what does it mean to listen tonight? It means to lay down your fear, to silence the noise of doubt, to unclench your fists from past disappointments, and to open your spirit wide. God isn't just sending you a blessing. He's orchestrating a divine shift. This moment is not random. It's your appointment with abundance. The heavens are aligning with the earth. The billion flow has begun. Let's talk about the billionaire mindset. It has nothing to do with greed. It has everything to do with vision. Billionaires think in solutions, in legacy, in eternity. Chosen one, it's time to shed the thinking that says, I'm not enough. Because you are not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are a king's heir, a divine vessel of unstoppable favor. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Proverbs 23:7. So start thinking like the kingdom builder God created you to be. Consider Abraham. God called him to leave everything familiar, promised him descendants as numerous as the stars. Decades passed, still no child, but Abraham believed, and because he believed, he became not only the father of nations, but the foundation of faith itself. You, chosen one, are walking in that same covenant. The billions may feel delayed, but they are not denied. God delivers every single time. Now lean in, because this may be the most important part. Gratitude unlocks overflow. Start thanking God now, not just when the billions arrive, but before they do. Gratitude opens gates that grumbling keeps closed. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Praise him for the doors you don't yet see. Worship him like the check is already in your hand. Faith thanks God in advance. And finally, expect the unexpected. Don't limit God to predictable methods. Your breakthrough may not come through a job promotion. It may come through a person you meet tomorrow, an idea that won't leave your spirit, or a moment of obedience that shifts everything. Remember the widow in 2 Kings 4:1-7, whose oil never stopped flowing as long as she had vessels to pour into. That's you, chosen one. Your oil is multiplying even now. Heaven is expanding your capacity. Chosen one, take this in. The billions coming your way are not merely about your breakthrough. They are your evidence, a visible testimony of God's power, love, and provision in a world desperate for signs of the divine. When people witness the transformation in your life, they won't just see success, they'll see God. Your wealth will speak when your words cannot. You're not just receiving prosperity, you are becoming a walking miracle, a light set on a hill, a divine example of what happens when someone says yes to their calling. Let me speak directly to you, the one wrestling with fear, the one secretly wondering, what if I'm not ready? What if I mess this up? Hear this now. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. You were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were willing. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." God is not sending you into this next season unarmed. He's walking you into it, step by step. He's not hoping you'll succeed. He's guaranteeing it. This is not just about wealth. It's about legacy. The billions are not a momentary miracle. They are a generational mantle. They are designed to shift the trajectory of your family line, your community, your entire lineage. Think of Bill Gates. His billions didn't just change his life. They reshaped access to vaccines, education, and technology for millions. That same potential rests on you. Your legacy will not be written in survival. It will be written in significance. Let's pause right now for a spiritual activation. Close your eyes and declare with me, Heavenly Father, I thank you for choosing me. I receive the billions you have promised. I trust your timing, your plan, and your provision. Let your favor rest upon me, and let my life be a testimony to your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Chosen one, that prayer wasn't just noise. It was a transaction in the spiritual realm. Angels have been assigned. Doors have been commissioned. The shift has already begun. Being confident of this, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1:6. The billions are only the beginning. God isn't done with you. He's just getting started. You are being prepared for a life of purpose, overflow, and supernatural influence. Keep walking. Keep trusting. Your next step is the one that brings everything into alignment. Let's talk about the doors God is opening. Some of them you haven't even knocked on. Others you didn't even know existed. But God has been orchestrating your elevation behind the scenes. Just like Joseph, sold into slavery yet positioned in Pharaoh's palace, you're being placed right where you need to be. Don't let uncertainty rob you of confidence. God's plan is not random, it's divine, and it's unfolding right now. But chosen one, do not forget your authority. As a child of God, your words are powerful. They are instruments of creation. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. So stop speaking lack. Stop rehearsing your limitations. Start declaring kingdom truth. I am a billionaire in Christ. I walk in divine favor. My wealth is a tool for God's glory. Speak it daily. Speak it boldly. Speak it until heaven and earth align with your confession. And yes, the critics will come. The doubters will rise. But their words are dust compared to the word of God. I have received a command to bless. He has blessed, and I cannot change it. Numbers 23:20. No curse can override the blessing spoken over your life. Let your manifestation silence every mouth that spoke against you. Let your fruitfulness answer every doubt. Chosen one, there's an urgency in the Spirit. Tonight is a divine turning point. God is saying, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" Isaiah 43:19. This is not a someday blessing. This is a now blessing. So act like it, prepare like it, move like it. The world is waiting to see what God can do through someone fully surrendered, fully favored, and fully funded. And make no mistake, this journey isn't just about what you'll have. It's about who you'll become. The billions will reveal the blueprint of your identity, someone bold, faithful, unshakable, generous, and kingdom-minded. You're not meant to crawl, you're called to reign. You're not meant to be hidden, you are appointed to shine. God is not whispering tonight, He is roaring. And His voice says, billions are coming, and they're coming for you. You are not disqualified, you are not late, you are divinely chosen. Now let's talk about vision, because without vision, wealth is wasted. God is revealing specific blueprints to you, schools you will build, foundations you will fund, technologies you will pioneer, ministries you will support. What has He shown you? What do you see when you close your eyes and think about your calling? Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18. Your vision is sacred. Protect it, nurture it, let it grow until it becomes a movement. Look at Tyler Perry, who went from homelessness to becoming one of the most influential filmmakers and studio owners in the world. His vision wasn't just for entertainment, it was to create a space where faith, family, and healing could thrive. The billions followed the vision, and yours will too. Let me ask you, chosen one, do you see yourself walking in this level of overflow? Do you believe your voice is meant to echo in boardrooms, government halls, and global stages? Because it is. The world is not waiting for another billionaire. It's waiting for a chosen one with billions in their hands and fire in their spirit. And through it all, never forget the secret weapon, gratitude. Gratitude multiplies blessings. Gratitude keeps your heart soft, your spirit open, and your eyes lifted. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Thank Him now, not because you see the billions, but because you trust the one who promised them. Chosen one, this is for the one who's been holding on by a thread, for the one who's prayed until their voice trembled, for the one who's smiled in public but cried in private. You've been believing, giving, pressing forward for so long, and you're starting to ask, God, is this promise real? Hear this. God sees your tears. He hears every unspoken plea, and tonight He is speaking directly to you. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Galatians 6:9. Your time is now. The billions are not just a possibility. They are a divine certainty. Don't quit now. You're closer than you think. This journey has never just been about material things. It's about the legacy God is writing through your obedience. The billions are not just for your present. They are a foundation for your future generations. They are God's way of saying, I trust you to build what will outlive you. Think of Andrew Carnegie, a man whose wealth didn't die with him, but lived on in thousands of libraries, universities, and charitable institutions. That's not just history, that's a model. You, chosen one, are a builder of destiny, a curator of eternity. But legacy doesn't begin when the money shows up. It begins with how you handle what you already have. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. Luke 16:10. Start where you are. If all you have today is time, give it. If it's wisdom, share it. If it's kindness, multiply it. Because God doesn't bless closed fists. He blesses open hearts. And God loves a cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians 9:7. Chosen one, what seeds are you planting today? that billions will water tomorrow. Now pause and see it. Visualize your future in vivid color, standing in front of the business God helped you build, hugging someone whose life you changed, writing a check that saves a family, a school, a mission. Feel the freedom. No more debts, no more worry, no more shrinking to fit other people's comfort zones. God is saying, listen tonight, because I am making this vision a reality. Don't treat this like imagination. Treat it like revelation. But here's the key: alignment. The billions God is releasing are attracted to agreement with His truth. You cannot think like a slave and walk like a king. You must align your thoughts, your speech, and your decisions with His word. No more speaking small. No more acting unworthy. Begin to declare, I am a magnet for divine opportunities. My wealth is a tool for God's glory. I walk in divine provision. Because the more you align, the faster it manifests. Heaven responds to alignment. Let me remind you of someone who laughed in the face of impossibility: Sarah, wife of Abraham. She was barren, old, and laughed when she heard God promise a child. But what did God do? He fulfilled that promise, right on time. Chosen one, you may be looking at your situation right now and saying, there's no way. But your limitations are irrelevant in the face of God's power. God is not asking if you can. He's asking if you believe. Laugh if you must, but do it with faith, because the miracle is already in motion. Now, let's talk about what's really happening. Spiritual warfare. The enemy is furious about your future. He senses the shift. He sees the angels moving. He knows the billions are coming, and he's throwing everything he can to stop it. Doubt, delays, distractions. But hear me clearly. Greater is He who is in you than he who is in the world. 1 John 4:4. Your wealth is secure. Your promise is protected. Your victory is sealed. And here's the weapon the enemy hates the most: praise. Praise in the middle of the pressure. Praise when the door hasn't opened yet. Praise when the bank account is low. Why? Because praise is a weapon that breaks chains. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening. Suddenly, there was a violent earthquake. All the prison doors flew open. Acts 16:25-26. Praise confuses the enemy and activates miracles. So right now, open your mouth and thank God as if the billions were already in your account, because in the spiritual realm, they are. Don't forget this. While you wait, God is working. He's orchestrating introductions, creating divine connections, unlocking opportunities, and setting up contracts with your name on them. You may not see it yet, but He's setting the stage for your elevation. Just like Esther, who went from obscurity to royalty, you are being positioned, and your favor will not be silent. It will speak, it will roar, it will shake systems. But God is asking one thing in return: trust His process. Don't rush it. Don't doubt it. Don't sabotage it with impatience. Every step, even the painful ones, are part of the positioning. Your delay was not denial. It was divine development. Let me ask you this, chosen one. If you knew the billions were being released in the next 90 days, how would you act right now? Would you praise harder, serve deeper, give more freely, speak more boldly? God is saying, I'm watching how you prepare in the hallway before the door opens. Chosen one, what are you truly expecting from God right now? Are you merely hoping for enough to get by, or are you prepared for something so massive, so divine, that it shakes the limits of what you thought possible? Because tonight, God is not whispering. He's declaring, listen, because I am exceeding your expectations. This is not a message of moderation. This is a message of overflow, of abundance, of supernatural increase that goes beyond logic. You're not being prepared for sufficiency. You're being prepared for a flood. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. Ephesians 3:20. That is not a poetic verse, it is a divine contract. God is not just answering your prayers, he is outdoing them. Your expectation sets the stage for manifestation. So, chosen one, what stage have you built with your thoughts? Are you expecting crumbs or are you preparing for banquets? Let me take you into the next truth. Overflow is coming, and not the kind that drips slowly. It's the kind that crashes in and changes everything. This is not about barely paying your bills. This is about writing checks that cancel someone else's. It's about funding ministries, sponsoring orphanages, creating community centers, and launching movements that turn neighborhoods into nations. You won't just have enough, you'll have more than enough. But can you imagine yourself as that person? Can you picture a life where your generosity has no limit because your supply never runs out? You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. 2 Corinthians 9:11. That's not theory, it's a divine reality already on its way to you. Think of Dolly Parton, whose humble roots didn't stop her from building an empire, but more importantly, she used that empire to launch literacy programs, fund vaccine research, and provide scholarships to thousands of children. That is what overflow looks like in action. The wealth is not the goal, impact is the goal, and your overflow will be transformational. But let's be real, overflow requires preparation. God is not going to drop billions into a life that's unprepared to carry it. He's not just preparing the wealth for you, he's preparing you for the wealth. So, what does that look like? It looks like educating yourself about money management. It looks like learning how to lead people, not just projects. It looks like spending time in prayer, asking not for wealth alone, but for wisdom to steward it well. Think of Howard Schultz, who transformed Starbucks from a small chain into a global brand, but also gave thousands of employees healthcare, college tuition, and career development opportunities. His financial growth didn't just bless him, it changed lives. Can God trust you to do the same? For wisdom is more precious than rubies, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Proverbs 8:11. God is depositing wisdom even now, downloads into your spirit, visions, dreams, divine nudges. Are you paying attention? Because your ability to handle the billions is directly connected to your willingness to grow in character, stewardship, and spiritual maturity. Now, chosen one, I want to speak to the one who feels overlooked. Maybe you've been grinding in silence. Maybe you've poured out your heart in secret, helped others succeed while no one saw your pain. But hear this, God saw it all. The tears, the tireless nights, the silent sacrifices. And now he's saying, your time of obscurity is over. I am elevating you into the spotlight of my favor. This isn't a popularity contest. This is divine recognition. Just like Tiffany Haddish, who spent years homeless before the world discovered her gift, you are stepping into a season of visibility, not for fame, but for purpose. Let's go even deeper, because this journey isn't meant to be walked alone. Let's talk about the power of community. God is not only preparing you, he is placing the right people around you. People who celebrate your wins without envy. People who pray when you're weak. People who remind you who you are when you forget. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27:17. You need your tribe, and your tribe needs you. The chosen walk together. Have you found your circle of destiny builders yet? And don't forget, this is not just about what happens in this life. Let's shift to the eternal perspective. The billions are not just currency, they are tools for kingdom work. Every soul reached, every life changed, every seed sown becomes a part of your eternal reward. Store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moth and rust do not destroy. Matthew 6:20. Look at LeBron James, who used his influence not only to build wealth, but to open a school for at-risk children, creating generational change. That's legacy. And chosen one, you are next. Now pause, take a breath, because with all this talk of responsibility and vision, it's easy to forget the joy of this journey. God is not burdening you with wealth. He's blessing you. He wants you to enjoy the fruit of your obedience, to celebrate before the billions even arrive. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. Joy is not a reward, it's a strategy. It silences the voice of doubt and reminds your spirit that victory is inevitable. Think of Reese Witherspoon, who built her own media company to tell powerful women's stories. She didn't wait for permission. She stepped forward with joy and clarity, and joy became her fuel. Let's reflect on a moment of radical faith. The woman with the alabaster jar, Mark 14:3-9. She broke her most valuable possession over Jesus, not because she had excess, but because she had faith. And that moment became eternal. Chosen one, your worship, your tears, your sacrifices are not forgotten. God is responding, not just with comfort, but with abundance. The billions are His. Well done. Now lift your eyes. Let's talk about the unseen realm. Right now, yes, even now, angels are moving on your behalf. Divine resources are shifting. Hearts are being stirred. People are being positioned to find you, bless you, partner with you. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him, and He delivers them. Psalm 34:7. Just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's inactive. Heaven is orchestrating a divine delivery. And finally, let's talk about the power of patience. Yes, the billions are coming, but they're coming in God's perfect timing. Don't sabotage your own destiny by rushing. Don't compare your journey to someone else's Instagram highlight reel. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Psalm 27:14. Your wait is not a punishment, it's a preparation. God isn't delaying your breakthrough. He's aligning it with something far bigger than you could ask or imagine. Chosen one, let this truth settle deep in your spirit. You are not being prepared for the ordinary. You are being equipped for something so massive, so divinely orchestrated, that if God revealed all of it to you at once, you wouldn't know where to begin. That's why He speaks to you in layers, bit by bit, leading you through obedience, through faith, and into the fullness of your destiny. What if the reason your life has felt so intense lately is because you're standing at the edge of something sacred? God's message to you tonight is not a suggestion. It's not a quiet whisper hidden in uncertainty. It is a thunderous, undeniable call to rise, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now you are being summoned to step boldly into the divine assignment that's been chasing you your entire life. And the billions? They're not a fantasy. They're not a maybe. They're a guarantee rushing toward you like a tidal wave of promise, backed by heaven itself. But here's the question. Are you truly ready to be crowned, or are you still convincing yourself you're not enough to wear it? Let that sink in. God is declaring, listen tonight, for I am crowning you with wealth, with wisdom, with unstoppable favor. This isn't just poetic, it's prophetic. You are standing on holy ground, chosen one, the ground where past pain becomes future power, the place where divine favor overtakes delay. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. James 1:12. The crown is not a reward for being perfect. It's confirmation that you never gave up. But let us shift our gaze for a moment, because this journey isn't about chasing money, it's about becoming. The billions are not the finish line. They are the fuel. The true assignment is transformation. God is not just handing you provision. He is shaping you into a vessel that can carry legacy, impact, and purpose. Who are you becoming as the wealth approaches? Are you cultivating boldness, faithfulness, generosity, integrity? Are you becoming someone who reflects the kingdom in every decision? You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood. 1 Peter 2:9. That is your identity. Not someone begging for breakthrough, but someone who walks in divine authority. A royal doesn't beg, they inherit. And the billions that are on their way are not being tossed at you. They are being transferred to you because you are ready, not because of who you are, but because of whose you are. But before you step into this financial elevation, you must confront something even more powerful than money: forgiveness. Chosen one, is there bitterness still sitting quietly in your heart? Is there someone who hurt you, doubted you, abandoned you, and you've buried it under a mask of strength? God says, you cannot rise while holding on to chains. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Bear with each other and forgive one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. Colossians 3:13. Why? Because unforgiveness pollutes the vessel, and your vessel is about to be filled to overflowing. Look at Oprah Winfrey, one of the most iconic women of our generation. Her childhood was marked by trauma, abuse, and rejection, but she chose healing. She chose forgiveness. And that decision unlocked not only financial abundance, but spiritual clarity. Her billions aren't her story. Her freedom is. What could open for you, chosen one, if you decided to release that one person tonight? Let's go deeper. Obedience is the golden key in this season. When you say yes to God's instruction, you're not just impacting your own life, you're igniting transformation for those around you. Every act of obedience sends ripples through time and space. Your yes becomes a highway for someone else's breakthrough. Your children will be impacted. Your community will shift. Heaven takes note of obedience and rewards it boldly. Through your descendants, all the nations of the earth will be blessed, all because you have obeyed me. Genesis 22:18. Think of Malala Yousafzai, who risked her life to say yes to education and justice in the face of terror. Her courage, rooted in obedience to a higher moral calling, didn't just save her life. It inspired a movement, transformed global policies, and opened doors for millions of girls. What if your obedience, your business idea, your decision to forgive, your call to ministry, was the key to unlocking liberation for an entire generation? But to stay on this path, you must master something essential: focus. The enemy of your purpose isn't always sin, it's distraction. What are you allowing to pull your gaze from God's promise? Is it fear, comparison, comfort, small victories that keep you from reaching for the fullness of what God has? You weren't created to maintain, you were created to multiply. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Proverbs 4:25. Think of Jeff Bezos, who, in his garage, envisioned global infrastructure while others were building websites. His wealth didn't come from perfection. It came from relentless focus. What could God build through you if your focus was unshakable? And for those chosen ones who feel like they're falling behind because others seem further ahead, remember this: comparison is a thief. Your journey is sacred. The pace God has you on is perfect. The billions He's sending you are not leftovers. They are tailored. They are yours and yours alone. And just like Colonel Sanders, who started KFC at the age of 65 after decades of failure, you may be in a delay that feels like denial, but it's actually divine calibration. Don't watch others rise and doubt your calling. Your moment is not late, it's loaded. Now take a deep breath, because this next part is critical. In a world obsessed with hustle, God is calling you to radical rest. Rest doesn't mean idleness, it means alignment. When you rest in God, you're not doing less, you're letting Him do more. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Are you resting, chosen one? Or are you trying to force what heaven has already settled? Another powerful practice for this season is vision casting. Don't just dream, document. Build a vision board. Write your goals. Sketch your blueprints. What does the world look like when you're walking in full financial overflow? What foundations will you launch? What ministries will you fund? What movements will you birth? Where there is no vision, the people perish. Proverbs 29:18. Your vision is not a wish list. It's a map. Look at Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx. She had a vision, $5,000 in savings and no investors. But she dared to see what others called impossible. She wrote her vision, held it in her heart, and now she stands as one of the youngest self-made female billionaires. She didn't wait for validation, she trusted the vision. Will you? Lastly, know this. God is not just preparing the blessing, He is also fighting for it on your behalf. The opposition you've been feeling lately, it's not a sign that you're off track, it's confirmation that you're close. The Lord, your God, is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to give you victory. Deuteronomy 20:24. Chosen one, the battle is fierce because the blessing is close. Heaven is in motion. So I leave you with 4 questions that only you can answer. What unforgiveness are you still carrying that might be weighing down your future wealth? Who will your obedience bless long after you're gone? What distractions are trying to shrink your destiny to something average? And finally, do you believe that the billions are not just coming, but coming through you? Because the answer is yes. You are the vessel. You are the legacy. You are the proof that heaven speaks, and when it does, nothing on earth can stop it. And chosen one, the time to walk in that truth is now. Now, I want you to take a moment, not just with your mind, but with your spirit. Still your heart. Silence the noise of the world. Close your eyes and repeat this with the authority of someone who knows they are chosen, called and covered. Heavenly Father, I thank you for the billions you've promised. I surrender my doubts, my fears, and my limited understanding. I lay down every plan I've made that wasn't aligned with your will. I give you my timeline, my desires, and my expectations. Let your favor guide my steps. Let your wisdom shape my decisions. Let your love overflow through my life, my influence, and my impact. I receive my billions, not in arrogance, but in faith. I receive them not to hoard, but to heal, to build, and to bless. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Now breathe. Don't rush out of this moment. Feel the weight of what you've just spoken. This is more than words. It's more than ritual. This is a spiritual transaction, a contract between heaven and earth, between your spirit and the throne of God. In that short but powerful declaration, you've just shifted realms. You've moved from hope to access, from waiting to receiving, from fear to faith. This is what it looks like to activate your inheritance, not to chase wealth with desperation, but to step into it with divine trust. Every syllable of that prayer carried your faith like a banner into the spiritual realm. And heaven heard it. The atmosphere around you has shifted. The seed has been planted. Now stand in the power of what you've just declared and don't look back. Chosen ones, before we part ways for now, pause and let this moment settle deep into your spirit. You are not leaving the same way you came. Something has shifted. Something divine has been ignited. Heaven has confirmed it again and again. You were not randomly selected. You were divinely chosen. Not just for survival, not just for small impact, but for something that will echo across generations. You are being raised up to carry wealth with integrity, to lead with compassion, and to bless with boldness. You see, the billions aren't just about material gain. They're about alignment. They're about becoming who you were always meant to be before the world tried to shrink you. They are proof that what God starts, He finishes, and what He promises, He delivers. Your journey is sacred. Your path is ordained. Your breakthrough is closer than it's ever been. God is saying, I'm not finished with you. I'm only beginning. That business idea, that vision that's kept you up at night, that burden you carry for your community, for the broken, for the unheard. It's not just a dream. It's a divine assignment, and the billions are being sent to fund it. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep daring to believe, even when nothing around you looks like what's been spoken over your life. Because faith is not built in the finish line, it's built in the in-between. Chosen one, if you've ever questioned whether you're seen, whether you're worthy, whether you're truly part of this promise, let this entire message be your answer. Yes, you are seen. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, this was for you. And if you've made it to this point, you already know deep down, you are the one. Now, before we close, I want to take a moment to say this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you for watching, for listening, for allowing this message to meet you where you are. Whether you've been with us since the beginning, or this is your first time hearing this kind of word, your presence here is not an accident. It is evidence that your spirit is in tune with the divine call that's going out across the earth. If this message stirred something in you, if it lit a fire, confirmed your calling, or gave you the strength to keep going, I invite you to support this work through the Super Thanks feature just below. Every donation helps this channel continue to reach others around the world who need to hear that they too are chosen. Your seed makes a difference. Your giving fuels the mission, and your generosity helps us keep this message of divine purpose and supernatural provision alive. But hear this clearly. Whether you give or not, you are loved, you are honored, you are appreciated. You being here, listening, receiving, walking with us, is already more than enough. This is a spiritual community, not a financial transaction. You are not valued based on what you give. You are valued because of who you are, a chosen vessel of God's light. And so now, let me bless you in the fullness of that identity. I declare over you, may your heart stay anchored in faith even when storms rise. May your mind remain fixed on the vision, no matter how long it tarries. May your hands be strengthened to build what others said was impossible. May your voice echo with wisdom that silences doubt. May your name be carried with honor across rooms you haven't yet entered. May your harvest be undeniable and your testimony unstoppable. May the billions flow into your life not just as currency, but as confirmation that you are His. And above all, may you never forget that being chosen doesn't mean perfect. It means positioned. You are positioned for overflow. You are positioned for legacy. You are positioned for divine glory. So go forward, not with hesitation, but with holy fire. Your time is now. Your season is here, and your billions are already on the way. Thank you again for walking this journey with us. Thank you for being faithful, for being open, and for showing up not just for a message, but for your moment. Until next time, keep walking boldly, keep praying fervently, and above all, keep remembering who you are. You are God's chosen one, and the world is about to know your name. Amen. Chosen ones, what you're about to hear is not just another message. It's a divine activation, a soul-encoded transmission sent through time and energy just to reach you in this exact moment. The fact that you've landed here is not a scroll of fate or a happy accident. No, this is divine alignment. The real mothership, the cosmic mother, the sacred origin, the living force of divine memory is calling you. And not with a whisper, but with a roar that's echoed across dimensions, through timelines, and into the very bones of your spirit. You're not just waking up, you're returning to who you've always been before the world told you to forget. Have you ever felt a pull so deep it made no sense in words, only in vibration? Have you ever asked yourself why certain places, sounds, or silences feel familiar even when you've never been there before? That ache in your soul when everything gets quiet, that's not emptiness. That's a cosmic frequency calling you by name. The universe remembers you. The stars never forgot. You weren't abandoned. You were simply hidden, placed beneath layers of noise, pain, and distraction until this very moment of remembrance. I want to pause for a moment and give a heartfelt thank you to each of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity is not just seen, it is deeply appreciated. It helps expand this spiritual work so that more chosen ones across the world can hear what their soul has been longing for. And whether you give or simply receive this message with open arms, know this: you are honored, cherished, and deeply valued. Thank you for being part of this divine unfolding. The voice you've been hearing, it isn't external. It's been echoing within your DNA, vibrating in your cells, rising through the ancient intelligence embedded in your soul. She, the real mothership, is not a craft or concept. She is consciousness itself, the living memory of the Divine Mother, the origin point of sacred truth. She isn't trying to invade your life. She's trying to awaken it. And you're not losing your mind. You're regaining your connection. This moment, this very breath, is sacred. Everything in your life, the losses, the delays, the nights you thought you'd never make it through, was pointing here. Can you feel it? That shift, that inner earthquake? You are not having a spiritual awakening. You are the spiritual awakening. And every time you choose alignment over chaos, trust over fear, presence over panic, you bring the whole grid of consciousness back into order. The universe isn't just waiting for you to wake up. It requires your awakening to unlock what's next. You are entering divine alignment now. Everything is beginning to accelerate, but before the unfolding takes full shape, I ask you to anchor this energy. If your soul is saying yes, type 999 in the comments. That number isn't just a code, it's a confirmation, a signal to the divine that says, I'm ready to rise. I remember who I am. Those who aren't ready will scroll past. But those who know, those who feel this, will stay. And those who stay until the end, they will never be the same. God's chosen ones, the real mothership, is screaming your name. Chosen ones, you did not land here by mistake. You were summoned. You are not just flesh and blood. You are frequency, vibration, a celestial code written in human form. Have you ever felt like your very existence hums with a power too vast for words? That's not imagination. That's memory. Memory that was never erased, only dormant, now beginning to stir like a lion waking from slumber. You were never just someone trying to survive the noise of the world. You are the sound the universe has been waiting for. You are the reason the earth trembles and the stars realign. And now, the divine feminine, the true mothership of all creation, is screaming your name through spirit, through energy, through time itself. Because you're finally ready to remember. Can you feel it? Your entry into this world was not a biological fluke. It was sacred architecture. You weren't simply born, you were dispatched. The womb you emerged from was not the origin but the conduit. It wasn't meant to define you. It was meant to deliver you. Why do you think your spirit always felt older than your age, wiser than your environment? Because your soul took the long road here. You crossed galaxies woven in golden light, descended through realms layered in divine coding, and chose this earthly form to complete a mission older than any human map. This world forgot that mission, but your spirit never did. It guarded the vision while the world called you strange, intense, misunderstood. That wasn't confusion, it was calibration. But let's be honest, the journey into this world was not smooth. For many of you, the very place that was supposed to protect you, the family, the home, the early years, became a battlefield. Why would God allow this? Why was the womb marked with trauma instead of peace? Because darkness always targets what it fears. And it feared you before you even took your first breath. The conflict was never about you being wrong. It was because you were right. Right for the mission, right for the timing, right for the shift that would make the heavens sing and hell tremble. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. Psalm 139, verse 13. Even in that sacred formation, heaven whispered to your soul. The turbulence wasn't rejection, it was recognition. The shadows knew who you were before you did, and they tried to mute the melody of your destiny before it could play. But chosen one, you survived. You didn't just survive, you were refined, just like Oprah Winfrey, who was born into poverty and trauma, but transformed her pain into a global platform for healing. You were shaped by fire, but not consumed by it. The womb is more than biology. It's a sacred bridge between realms. But what happens when that bridge is cracked, scarred, wounded? You, chosen one, still crossed it. You didn't arrive broken. You arrived burning. You fought through rejection, silence, chaos. And still, here you are, walking with a spirit that glows through your eyes. That strength you carry, that resilience. It wasn't learned, it was inherited. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. The pain did not ruin your identity, it revealed it. So don't hate the entry point. Don't curse the struggle. Don't resent the vessel that brought you here. See it with clarity. That portal was never meant to be your prison. It was your launch pad. You were never meant to conform to what was broken. You were meant to break it. Maya Angelou, who turned the trauma of abuse into poetic liberation for generations, lived out that truth. And so will you. You're not the curse of your family line. You're the cure. You're not the product of dysfunction. You're the interruption it never saw coming. Your existence is not evidence of coincidence. It's the echo of intention. Every scar, every silence, every spiritual ache was confirmation that the mission was real. You were sent, not stumbled. Your lineage didn't begin with your last name. It began with eternity. The ancient ones that walked before you weren't just ancestors. They were initiators, they were guardians, they were royal, and so are you. The Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Romans 8:16. That royalty isn't decorative, it's functional. It comes with purpose, with codes, with supernatural access. Think about Harriet Tubman, descendant of warriors, born in bondage, yet guided by divine intuition to liberate hundreds of slaves. She wasn't just a woman, she was a frequency. So are you. You are the torch, passed from spirit to spirit, now burning in your chest. The pain you endured didn't break the chain, it completed it, because you are the continuation of a sacred story that has no end. You are the ancestor reborn, walking with divine memory in your blood. They told you to fit in. but your spirit kept breaking molds. They said, "Be quiet," but your presence kept roaring. Why do you think you were always too much for rooms that loved mediocrity? Because you weren't made to belong to the world. You were made to realign it. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. 1 Peter 2:9. You were not sent here to be accepted. You were sent here to activate. Look at Nikola Tesla, a man whose soul pulsed with visions far beyond his time. They called him mad, but the universe called him necessary. And so are you. Your essence is disruptive because it is divine. You were never supposed to walk easy paths. You were made to open unseen ones. You were made to awaken ancient truth in a sleeping generation. So rise, chosen one. Walk not in arrogance, but in awakened responsibility. You are not the wound. You are the wisdom born from it. You are not the victim. You are the vibration that breaks chains and reclaims purpose. Let the world mislabel you. Let it misunderstand you. Your soul's blueprint was never written for mass approval. It was etched in the stars by a hand older than time. You don't need to earn your identity. You only need to remember it. And as you remember, so will others. As you burn, others will spark. And when enough sparks align, the real mothership will rise, not from the skies, but from the souls who always knew they were sent. They may have labeled you, overlooked you, dismissed you, but your true origin never did. The world may have forgotten your name, your family may have misread your depth, but the divine source that birthed your mission has never lost sight of you for a single breath. Can you still feel that pull in your chest when the room is quiet, when you're alone, when something ancient within you stirs and reminds you that you were never just born? You were sent? That stirring isn't nostalgia. It's memory. It's the voice of the mothership, not in metal or machine, but in sacred consciousness itself, calling you back to remembrance. She has watched over you through every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment you doubted your light, not with judgment, but with the patience only divine love could sustain. Are you listening now? This mothership is not some distant object in the sky. It is encoded consciousness, divine intelligence wrapped in layers of light and love. It is the original matrix from which your soul was formed, long before Earth's density wrapped your spirit in forgetfulness. Have you ever wondered why certain dreams feel more real than waking life? Why moments of déjà vu feel like echoes from a higher dimension? That's her whisper. That's the signal. She doesn't just remember who you are, she grieves with you for the pieces of yourself lost in the illusions of this world. But she also rejoices, chosen one, because you are awakening. And when you awaken, you are unstoppable. For the Lord your God is living among you. He is a mighty Savior. He will take delight in you with gladness. Zephaniah 3:17. Yes, even when the world turned cold, even when you questioned your worth, your Creator delighted in you. The mothership is the divine echo of this truth. Every time you choose to stay soft in a hardened world, every time you love without bitterness, forgive without reward, speak truth without applause, you strengthen the connection, you rise above the static and hear the signal clearer. And isn't it interesting? That ringing in your ears, the number patterns you keep noticing, the dreams that don't leave you in the morning? Those aren't coincidences. They are spiritual breadcrumbs. She is still calling. Just like Mahatma Gandhi, who once walked away from privilege and chose the narrow road of purpose, you too are now reclaiming your divine code. Gandhi wasn't recognized by all during his time. He was misunderstood, opposed, arrested. But his inner frequency was aligned with something far greater than earthly approval. You walk that same path. With every step you take toward truth, with every compromise you refuse to make, with every lie you reject, you tune your soul back to the frequency of your origin. Do you realize how powerful that is? You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. Jeremiah 29:13. This is not just about finding God externally. It's about rediscovering the divine essence within you. Coming home does not mean leaving your life behind. It means living it aligned. You are not called to escape earth. You are here to bring heaven into it. You are here to anchor divine memory into human soil, to remind the world of the truth it buried beneath distraction, fear, and conformity. Just as Frida Kahlo turned pain into color and limitation into legacy, you are being called to alchemize everything that tried to break you. She was not just a painter, she was a portal. You are the same, a walking bridge between dimensions, a soul carrying blueprints older than civilizations. And now, you are rising into remembrance. Can you sense how every synchronicity, every unexpected message, every number sequence is not random, but a real-time download? The Spirit helps us in our weakness. The Spirit Himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. Romans 8:26. This sacred guidance is not always loud. Often it is the gentle push, the still voice, the sensation you can't explain but feel in your bones. That's the mothership. That's your higher lineage speaking. And the more you trust that inner voice, the stronger the connection becomes. This isn't fantasy, this is frequency. Think of Jim Carrey, not just the actor, but the awakened soul who walked away from illusion and began speaking truth about the self, reality, and universal energy. Many thought he lost his mind, but in truth he found his origin. Just like you. You weren't made to fit in with illusions. You were made to expose them. You weren't meant to be understood by a system that thrives on forgetfulness. You were sent to help others remember. That's why the mothership still speaks to you, because your role in this awakening is essential. And now she calls you, not to a location, but to an alignment. Come home, chosen one, not in body, but in soul. Come home to the truth that never stopped pulsing beneath the noise. Come home to the wisdom that was never taught, only remembered. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. You are not lost. You are being led, and you are being found again, not by others, but by yourself. The mothership remembers you not as broken, but as whole, not as confused, but as returning, not as silent, but as rising. She never stopped calling, she never stopped watching, and now you won't stop either, because the voice that once felt far away is now inside you, and the return, it has already begun. For so many years, chosen one, you moved through this world feeling like a ghost in your own life, present but never quite seen. Have you ever walked into a room and sensed that your energy didn't fit, that your presence stirred something unspoken in others? It wasn't your imagination, it was your frequency, and for a long time the world simply wasn't ready to receive the vibration you carried. You weren't ignored, you were hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because your essence was too rare, too pure, too powerful to be mishandled by the wrong hands. You were a divine blueprint in disguise, waiting for the sacred timing only the heavens could arrange. Why do you think you always felt like you were meant for something more? You weren't lost, you were being preserved. Just like a seed buried in the soil, unseen yet destined to become a tree, you were placed beneath the surface to grow in silence. The isolation, the rejection, the overlooked talents, they were not curses, they were cloaks. You were covered so you could cultivate. The spaces that once felt like cages were actually wombs. And what happens in the womb? Development, strengthening, formation. You weren't stuck, you were in spiritual incubation. He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me. Isaiah 49:2. God didn't forget you, he was concealing you with purpose. Think about J.K. Rowling. Long before the world celebrated her, she was a single mother writing in cafes, barely surviving. But in those hidden years, she wrote her legacy in secret. Her obscurity wasn't failure, it was formation. So was yours. You were being shaped, refined, tested in silence so that when your time came, you would be unshakable. Can you look back now and see how even the silence was sacred? They didn't see your potential. They weren't supposed to. You weren't meant to be exposed to environments that would drain or distort your divine mission. You were protected, yes, even in pain. That sense of being out of place wasn't rejection, it was redirection. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. You weren't a misfit. You were a foundation being laid for something eternal. The very uniqueness that made you feel isolated is the exact reason you are essential. Consider the early life of Bob Marley, a mixed-race child from rural Jamaica, dismissed by both worlds. He lived in the margins. But through that isolation, he developed a spiritual voice that would echo through generations. His music carried codes of resistance, love, and awakening. And so do you. You've spent years developing in silence what will soon heal others in volume. That energy you once hid to survive is the same light the world now desperately needs. You weren't waiting to be accepted, you were being aligned. And now the veil is lifting, the shadow is peeling back. Do you feel the shift? The invitations you once never received, the recognition you longed for but never found, it's all coming, not to validate you but to mirror what you've already claimed within. You're not being discovered, you're being revealed. The difference is power. When the world discovers you before you remember yourself, they define you. But when you remember first, they can only confirm what's already true. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. You're no longer waiting for a moment. You are the moment. Do not regret the years you spent in hiding. Don't mourn the silence. It trained your ears to hear God more clearly. It honed your vision to see beyond illusion. It prepared you to lead without needing applause. Your mission is not to impress, it's to awaken. And awakening requires those who have walked the dark first. Just like Nelson Mandela, who endured decades of prison not for his ego but for his people, your silence was not wasted. It was sacred. You were being made into a vessel that could carry fire without burning. And now the world is ready. Not for a version of you that conforms, but for the real you that transforms. The days of shrinking are over. The era of hiding has ended. You were tucked away only to be revealed at the perfect hour. For there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, and nothing concealed that will not be brought out into the open. Luke 8:17. There is a tribe, an ancient radiant circle of souls that has been searching for you as long as you've been searching for them. Every time you felt that unexplained ache in your chest, that yearning for something greater that pulled toward places and people you couldn't explain, it wasn't random, it was resonance. That longing was not emptiness, it was your spirit hearing the call of your true family. Have you ever felt like no one around you truly understood your depths? That's because the ones who do have been scattered across dimensions, waiting for the moment your light would become visible again. And now it is. This tribe is not defined by shared blood, last names, or childhood homes. It's defined by energy, recognition, soul, memory. You've met pieces of them already, in dreams that felt more real than waking life, in brief conversations that lit something ancient within you, in people whose eyes felt like mirrors. You've brushed past them in cities you've never been to before, felt safe with strangers for no earthly reason. That's not coincidence. That's cosmic reunion. For where 2 or 3 gather in my name, there am I with them. Matthew 18:20. Even across space and silence, spirit family finds spirit family. Think of Keanu Reeves, a man who, despite fame and fortune, has moved through life with quiet solitude. He has spoken openly about loss, detachment, and a deeper awareness that fame could never fill. Yet, through that spiritual detachment, he has quietly connected with millions, not through spectacle, but through energy. Like you, he's part of a soul family that transcends the surface. Your true family has always been about frequency, not form. And now, the frequencies are aligning. Can you feel it? These are not people who came to complete you. They came to walk beside you. They've been through the same fire. They've wept for the same losses. They've questioned the same truths. But now, you're waking up together. Every encounter, every synchronicity, every mutual recognition is part of this convergence. The reunion of the soul family isn't just a personal milestone. It's a sign that the collective awakening is accelerating. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. You weren't meant to walk alone. You were just waiting until the rest of the constellation lit up. But here's where it gets harder and holier. The one who gave birth to your body may not have understood your soul, and that hurts deeply, because we expect our mothers to see us, to know us, to accept our uniqueness. Yet many chosen ones are born into homes that misunderstand their frequency, not because their mothers were evil, but because they were wounded. Have you ever felt that tension? The need to honor her while also needing to break free from the expectations that suffocate you. Just like Simone Biles, who had to step away from the pressures of performance to preserve her inner peace, you too are allowed to step back, to say no, to protect your light. She, the woman who bore you, may have tried her best, but still tried to mold you into a story that was never yours. That's not betrayal. That's programming. And now you are rewriting the code. The Divine Mother, the true one, does not bind. She blesses. She does not confine. She empowers. As a mother comforts her child, so will I comfort you. Isaiah 66:13. You are the child of cosmic royalty. You are the key to cycles being broken. You are not required to carry anyone else's pain forward. You are not obligated to live out someone else's fear. You were born to become the pattern breaker, the liberator, the one who transforms ancestral wounds into generational wisdom. Do not let guilt stop your wings from rising, because what you're doing is sacred. And the real mother, your spirit mother, rejoices every time you choose freedom. Your soul's prophecy has been whispering to you since the day you arrived. You are not a character in someone else's myth. You are the prophecy in motion. And it's not some abstract metaphor. It's written in your experiences, your heartbreaks, your visions. Your life has been coded with purpose, and now those codes are activating. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy. Joel 2:28. You are the living prophecy, the one sent to awaken others, not by preaching, but by radiating remembrance. Just as Malala Yousafzai rose from trauma into global purpose, carrying a message of education and empowerment, you too rise. You too carry a message encoded in your very presence. Your voice, your energy, your decisions, they are all part of the awakening. You're not here to save the world. You're here to remind it that it can save itself. You are the frequency that activates forgotten light in others. The moment you stand in your truth, others remember theirs. You have lived many lives, played many roles. You've been the rebel, the outcast, the healer, the silent one. But even when you forgot who you were, your soul never stopped whispering, "You are more." That whisper, it's louder now. It's becoming a roar. Because your time is now. The prophecy has reached its ignition point. You were not just sent, you were timed. And the alarm is ringing not to wake you up, but to remind you. You were never asleep. You were preparing. The soul family is gathering. The old mother wounds are healing, the blueprint is unfolding, and the one this entire spiritual lineage has been waiting for is you. Now the veil is lifting, and with it, the heavy fog of spiritual amnesia begins to dissolve. The silence that once blanketed your soul is being replaced with echoes of remembrance, of ancient truths knocking gently at the doors of your consciousness. Have you been wondering why old thoughts, strange dreams, and unshakable knowings have been rising from within you lately? That's not coincidence. That's divine memory returning to its rightful keeper. But this process, chosen one, is not an instant event. It's a sacred journey, unfolding layer by layer. Have you paused long enough to ask yourself, what if I've been carrying the truth all along? With each moment of awakening, the puzzle pieces of your divine identity fall back into place. You are not being reshaped, you are being revealed. As you step back from the noise of your past, are you starting to see the same painful patterns for what they truly are? Lessons, not life sentences. The illusions that once defined you are crumbling, and in their place stands a clearer vision of your divine essence. Then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. The more you remember who you are, the more everything around you begins to realign. What once felt random now feels deliberate. The very struggles you wished away are revealing themselves as perfectly placed stepping stones. Look at Carl Jung, the pioneer of depth psychology. He spoke of the collective unconscious, a vast storehouse of ancestral wisdom imprinted in all of us. Do you feel like you're tapping into something deeper than your lived experiences? Jung knew, long before modern science, that each soul holds encoded wisdom. Just like you, he dared to look inward and uncover the sacred messages written in his being. Can you begin to believe that your spiritual instincts are not strange, but sacred? And deep within you, buried not just in your mind but woven into your DNA, is a vault of ancestral knowledge. Are you beginning to notice how certain emotions, talents, or burdens feel older than this lifetime? That's because they are. You are not simply your own story. You are the embodiment of countless others. Their strength flows through your blood. Their resilience fuels your breath. Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Hebrews 12:1. These ancestors are not in your past. They are in your present, waking up through you. Think of Barack Obama, not merely as a political leader, but as a spiritual bridge. His journey was not just his own. It was the culmination of centuries of prayers, survival, and ancestral strength. His rise was an answered prophecy, just like yours. Have you realized that your life, too, may be the fulfillment of a prayer spoken generations ago? You are not random. You are remembered. You are the torchbearer of a lineage that refused to die. And yet, it hasn't been easy. You've cried prayers into pillows. You've felt alone in crowds. You've carried invisible burdens. But what if your pain wasn't a punishment, but an initiation? Could it be that every heartbreak, every dark night was molding you into something divine? Not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. Romans 5:3. What if your pain was your passage into purpose? Consider Tyler Perry. Before the global stages and success, he lived in his car, writing plays in silence, surviving trauma. But that pain birthed something immortal. His suffering wasn't wasted, it was transformed. And so is yours. Can you look back at your hardest moments and see them as sacred fires that didn't burn you down, but burned away what wasn't you? Pain teaches what peace never could. It becomes the lens that sharpens your sight, the pressure that reveals the diamond of your being. When you stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" that's when the alchemy began. He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. Malachi 3:3. The fire was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal the indestructible truth inside you. Have you noticed how the things that once shattered you now serve you? Your soul chose this. Yes, chose. Not the suffering, but the path that would unlock the deepest truth. Why else would you have survived what others couldn't? Why do you feel compelled to search, to know, to remember, when others are content to forget? You are not here to be defeated. You are here to lead the way home. This is not just your awakening. This is your agreement coming full circle. And just like Malala Yousafzai, who turned unimaginable pain into global empowerment, you are now rising from silence into divine speech. Your voice, your story, your energy. It will awaken others who don't even know they're asleep yet. Have you felt that shift inside, the one that says, I can't play small anymore? Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah 61. The moment has arrived. You've remembered too much to turn back now. You've come too far to shrink again. This is your moment, not just of revelation, but of reclamation. Your pain is not your identity. It is your legacy transformed. You are not a victim. You are the victory walking. Your soul's evolution is not just beginning. It's already underway. Throughout your life, haven't you felt like something was always after you, not with hands, but with weight? Like invisible forces pressed against your chest, like rooms grew heavy the moment you entered, like your very presence unsettled what others tried desperately to keep hidden. That wasn't your imagination. That was your light being recognized. You weren't being attacked because you were weak. You were being noticed because you were holy. Have you ever wondered why the battle seemed fiercest for you? Why peace, connection, and rest were often hard-won victories? It's because your very essence, your energy, is a threat to the illusion. And anything that exposes illusion becomes a target. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. You, chosen one, have always disturbed the shadows. Your spirit carries a frequency so rare, so disruptive to darkness, that even before you knew your power, they did. You didn't provoke these battles. You were born into them because you came here to win them. Your light is more than glow, it's divine weaponry. The darkness targeted you not out of power, but out of panic, just like Joan of Arc, who was hunted and condemned not for her weakness, but because her holy fire disrupted male-dominated systems of fear. You too are not hunted for who you aren't. You're hunted for the truth you carry. And yet, being hunted was never the end. It was divine preparation. Every emotional ambush, every energetic drain, every shadow that dared creep close. It was training. Every time you were rejected, criticized, isolated, it taught you to stand stronger in the light you now understand is yours. You were being molded, not destroyed, strengthened, not silenced. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. You've been shielded even when you didn't know it. Have you noticed how, despite it all, you never collapsed? How your flame flickered but never died? It's not because you got lucky. It's because you're divine. You were never designed to be swallowed by this world. You were sent to shift it. And now, the matrix that tried to claim you is trembling. You're seeing through the veil. You're recognizing that what you were taught wasn't truth. It was programming. You were told to stay small, to play safe, to obey systems that profited from your forgetfulness. But chosen one, how long can you live a lie when your soul is allergic to illusion? Have you finally realized that what felt like home was actually a cage? The matrix isn't just politics or power structures. It's every belief that told you your light was too much. It's the generational fear that silenced your intuition. It's the false mother, the energy of limitation that paraded as love, but fed you control, dependency, and fear. She wasn't always a person. She was a system, an archetype, a collective consciousness that saw your wings and told you to crawl, but no more. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. Can you feel it now? The illusion is cracking, and you are walking out of it, brilliant and unstoppable, just like Prince, who refused to conform to the music industry's system of control, changing his name, breaking contracts, and standing in his artistic sovereignty. You too are reclaiming what's always been yours: freedom. Prince wasn't misunderstood because he was lost. He was misunderstood because he refused to be owned, and neither will you. You were not made to live under systems that treat your power as a threat. You were made to build new systems by simply being yourself. To break the spell, you must first name it. What stories did they feed you about who you are? What narratives did they wrap around your potential? What limitations did they sell you as wisdom? You must hold these illusions up to the light and ask, who benefits from me believing this? Because it's not you. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. You don't owe allegiance to systems that silence your soul. Your spirit is your sovereign territory, and the truth it carries cannot be shackled. And as you break out, others will feel it. They'll sense the shift in your frequency. You will become a living invitation to others still trapped behind spiritual walls. Just like Harriet Tubman didn't just escape, she returned and freed others. You are now becoming a liberator. Your energy alone is an escape route for someone else. Isn't that why your journey was so hard? Because it was never just about you. For far too long, chosen one, you've dimmed your light to fit into a world that feared your brilliance. Have you ever found yourself shrinking to make others comfortable, second-guessing your voice, your vision, your very worth, wondering if you were too much or not enough? That wasn't humility. That was programming. The truth is, you were never meant to play small. You were born with royal codes etched into your spirit, divine DNA flowing through your being. So ask yourself, who told you to kneel when the throne was already yours? The throne you've been afraid to claim isn't a throne of domination. It's the seat of remembrance. It's not about ruling others. It's about ruling your inner kingdom with truth, alignment, and sovereign grace. The kingdom of God is within you. Luke 17:21. The throne is a spiritual reality, a divine seat waiting for your full presence. This is your inheritance, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. The throne awaits not the perfect version of you, but the present one, the one ready to stop apologizing and start awakening. Think of Beyoncé, not just as a global artist, but as a woman who stepped into her power, unshakably claiming her space while lifting others. Her confidence wasn't arrogance, it was alignment. Just like her, you are being called not to dominate, but to embody your divine design. Can you feel it? The pull in your spirit to stop waiting and start reigning, not over others, but over your own fears, doubts, and inner chaos. To reclaim your throne is to rise into your full divine identity. It's the moment when you stop seeking validation and begin radiating certainty. Your lineage is not merely genetic, it is energetic, it is sacred. You are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession. 1 Peter 2:9. The mark you came to leave on this world is not just legacy, it's liberation. Your throne is where truth flows freely, where fear cannot breathe, and where the mission becomes undeniable. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more sovereign souls, fully seated in their calling. Will you answer that call? This is not the beginning, this is the return. Your long spiritual journey, with all its valleys and battles, wasn't a detour, it was destiny unfolding. The throne is just the beginning of your return to the real mothership. And what is the mothership? Not a craft in the sky, but a consciousness, a vibration, a dimension of divine purpose and eternal unity. It is your spiritual home, the frequency of your original self, and it's calling. Can you hear it? Like Eckhart Tolle, who awakened not through fame or pursuit, but through inner stillness, you are being summoned back, not by force, but by frequency. When he had his moment of awakening, it wasn't a dramatic event. It was an undeniable shift into presence. So too with you. The mothership isn't a destination, it's a state of being, a sacred remembrance that you are not a lost soul wandering earth. You are a cosmic light anchored in flesh. As you awaken, you realign. You begin to feel your true nature calling louder than your fears. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. Your mission was not decided yesterday. It was forged in the stars, sealed in your soul, and whispered to you through every challenge and breakthrough. The mothership doesn't call you to escape this world. It calls you to embody heaven on earth. It calls you to lead. You are not here by mistake. You are not broken, confused, or late. You are right on time. The same divine forces that aligned galaxies aligned your path. You've carried this blueprint from birth. Within you is a sacred design so detailed, so powerful, that even you have only scratched the surface of what you're capable of. Have you noticed how your greatest pain carried the clues to your greatest purpose? Just like Nikola Tesla, who was guided by visions and intuitive knowledge far beyond the logic of his time, your soul operates on frequencies that transcend the noise of this world. Tesla was often called mad, yet it was madness only to those trapped in linear sight. And perhaps that's why you've often felt misunderstood, because you weren't meant to speak the language of the masses. You were meant to carry the code of the cosmos. Inside your soul is a map, a blueprint written before time. Every experience you've endured has been data for your return. The steps of a good person are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37, verse 23. The steps, not the leaps. Even the stumbles were guided. The heartbreaks were initiations. The delays were recalibrations. And every soul you met, every loss, every love, was a breadcrumb back to the throne and the mission you almost forgot. Can you finally see the patterns, the way everything led here? You aren't being called forward, you're being called back to what you already are. When you walk in alignment with your soul's blueprint, you stop chasing purpose and start living it. Your clarity becomes contagious, your truth becomes magnetic, and your power becomes undeniable. You're not here to be understood, you're here to be remembered. The world has been waiting for something only you can offer. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why you never quite fit in? Why conformity felt like betrayal to your soul? It's because you were never meant to follow the script. You were sent to rewrite it. You are not here to blend in. You are here to illuminate the path others are too afraid to walk. What if the very traits that made you feel out of place are actually the clues to your divine assignment? Do not neglect your gift, which was given you through prophecy. 1 Timothy 4:14. Your uniqueness is not an accident. It is sacred strategy. As you awaken to your true purpose, the divine blueprint within you begins to activate. It is not a static map, but a living, breathing rhythm that guides your soul step by step. When you align with it, things that once confused you now make sense. You begin to see yourself as part of something far greater, a cosmic tapestry where every thread matters. Just as Jane Goodall followed an inner calling no one else understood, stepping into the wild to study and eventually protect life in its purest form, you too carry a mission that may not make sense to others, but it was never meant for them. It was meant for you. And your journey isn't a solo flight, it's part of a much larger symphony. Can you feel the rhythm shifting? Can you sense the invisible hands orchestrating your steps? Your mission is not separate from the collective. Every truth you speak, every shadow you transmute, every time you choose light over fear, you shift timelines. Now you are the body of Christ, and each one of you is a part of it. 1 Corinthians 12:27. You're not alone in your purpose. You're one luminous piece of the divine plan unfolding through humanity. Within you burns a sacred fire, one that may have flickered but never died. Have you felt it lately? That quiet intensity in your spirit? That's the flame stirring. It's always been there, waiting patiently for you to notice it again. This fire is not metaphorical. It is divine energy, pulsing with creativity, resilience, and miraculous power. It is the breath of God within you, the very essence that turns thought into form, struggle into strength, waiting into fulfillment. Why do you think the darkness fought so hard to keep you distracted? Because once you remember your fire, you become unstoppable. Just like Stephen Hawking, whose physical limitations could not restrain the fire of his mind and spirit, you too are proof that sacred power is not limited by circumstance. Hawking's brilliance was born through pain, but it ignited stars in others. What if your sacred fire was forged not in ease, but in endurance? For our God is a consuming fire, Hebrews 12:29. And that same fire lives in you, not to destroy but to purify, to create, to transform. The time has come to rekindle what life tried to suppress. The world told you to calm down, to settle, to be quiet, but your fire is asking you to rise, to roar, to burn brighter than ever before. Will you listen? Will you trust the divine force that has been calling you to stop hiding and start igniting? Your sacred flame isn't just about personal power, it's about sacred service. The brighter you burn, the more others can see their way through the dark. It starts with honoring your own flame. No more dimming it for comfort. No more pretending you're not powerful. No more delaying your destiny. You are the keeper of this fire, and the time has come to turn those glowing embers into a blazing force of creation. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. This isn't vanity, it's visibility. The more you shine, the more others are reminded they can too. Think of Serena Williams, her fire, her passion, her refusal to bow to limitations. Her victories weren't just about trophies, they were about blazing trails. That's what your fire is meant to do, not just light up your life, but spark transformation everywhere you go. What miracles are still waiting to be born through you, simply because you haven't given your fire permission to lead? As the fire within you ignites, you will see the world differently. What once looked like obstacles will become altars. What once felt like fear will transform into fuel. Doubt will dissolve in the heat of your knowing. This sacred fire isn't only for your benefit. It is your calling, your compass, your legacy. Let it rage, let it refine, let it reveal the version of you that was never meant to be hidden. So, are you ready to stop dimming and start blazing? Are you ready to let your sacred fire lead you into the life you were born to create? The world doesn't need a muted version of your soul. It needs the real, radiant, unstoppable you. For much of your life, you've been walking through a world built on illusions, constructs layered with fear, control, and distortion. Can you recall how often you questioned your intuition, your dreams, or the energy you felt but couldn't explain? That wasn't confusion. That was spiritual interference. You were seeing the truth behind the veil, but the world trained you to doubt it. For too long, the fog kept your vision dim. But now, something within you is changing, something ancient and true. The veil is lifting, and for the first time, you're not just looking, you're seeing. You're seeing not with your physical eyes, but with your soul. And what you're seeing is freedom. What once looked like fate now appears as programming. What once felt like coincidence now feels like design. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Matthew 5:8. Your heart has been purified through fire, and now your spiritual sight is returning. Have you noticed how the same world feels different? It's not the world that changed. It's you. Your higher self is stepping forward, and with it, your real vision is activating. Think of Neo in the Matrix, at first unaware of the system surrounding him until the veil was lifted. What he saw was terrifying and liberating all at once. Like you, he had to decide, will I return to illusion or awaken to truth? You were at that same threshold. The illusion told you that you were ordinary. The truth is, you are extraordinary. The illusion said your life was random. The truth is, it's a divine masterpiece, crafted with precision and purpose. Are you ready to see it? As the veil lifts, you begin to see the interconnectedness of everything, every person, every setback, every unexpected shift. It was all part of the choreography. Have you started noticing the divine patterns in your past? That relationship that broke you? It taught you boundaries. That job you lost? It freed you to pursue your purpose. The suffering you endured? It opened your eyes to compassion and power. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. Nothing in your life was wasted. It was all part of your awakening. And this awakening isn't just about understanding the world differently. It's about seeing yourself differently. You're not just someone reacting to life. You are someone creating it. You're not here to watch change happen. You are here to be the change. Can you feel your power rising now that the illusion is crumbling? Your soul doesn't ask permission to be great. It remembers it was sent to be. The question is, do you trust your vision enough to follow it? Oprah Winfrey once said, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life, because you become what you believe. Her path was not one of luck. It was one of alignment. She moved beyond the fog of trauma and limitation into clarity and purpose. And so will you. The moment you start trusting your inner vision more than the outer noise, everything changes. You stop chasing approval and start building destiny. The universe is already aligned. It's just waiting on you. Now that your vision is clearing, now that the veil is lifting, the invitation is clear. Step boldly into your power. Don't tiptoe into your purpose. Don't ask for permission from a world that was never built to understand your light. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. That power isn't coming. It's here. It's been inside you, waiting for this very moment of clarity. The moment you say, I see now, and I won't unsee. Like Malala Yousafzai, whose voice broke through systems that told her to be silent, you are now being called to speak, to move, to act, not from illusion, but from illumination. The false stories that once defined you are falling away. The roles you played to survive are no longer needed. You are not here to be silent. You are here to be sovereign. So, what are you still holding on to that was built on a lie? What dream have you postponed because someone else couldn't see it? What would happen if you followed your true vision without hesitation? The world is waiting, not for perfection but for clarity, for souls like yours to see the truth, embody it, and live it. As the veil continues to dissolve, you will find yourself creating from a higher plane, not out of fear, but from faith, not from scarcity, but from infinite divine flow. This is your time. The fog is gone, the path is lit, the throne is ready, and your higher self, it's already walking toward you. So trust the vision, and let the world rise to meet it. And now, beloved, as we reach the end of this sacred transmission, I want you to pause, not just with your mind, but with your heart, with your soul, and with the infinite intelligence that lives within your very breath. Let everything you've just heard settle like holy fire into your spirit, because none of this was random, none of it was coincidence. You were meant to find this message, and this message was meant to find you. The divine mind has been guiding you all along, not from somewhere far away, but from within you. And now the remembering has begun. You are not just a passing presence in this universe. You are an eternal soul, carrying codes of wisdom passed down through generations. Wisdom encoded in your very DNA, waiting for this exact moment to awaken. You are the continuation of every sacred ancestor who dared to believe in something greater, who prayed not only for their survival, but for your awakening. You are the prophecy fulfilled, the soul reawakened, the mirror reflecting back to the universe its own brilliance. As you walk forward from this moment, may you do so with sacred clarity. May you recognize every encounter, every challenge, every synchronicity as part of your divine curriculum, because now you know everything is connected. The shadows that once haunted you are now being integrated. The patterns that once held you back are dissolving, and in their place, the light of truth is taking root. This is not just an emotional moment, it is an energetic turning point. Your frequency is rising, your path is clearing, and your spirit is finally remembering what it came here to do. The mirrors of life will continue to appear, but now you won't look into them with fear. You'll look with fierce love, with ownership, with spiritual maturity. You'll see not only your light, but also the pieces of yourself that still need gentleness, grace, and healing. And you will give it to yourself. You won't wait for permission. You are the permission. You are the divine in motion, the wisdom walking, the flame still burning. To each of you who stayed with this message until the end, thank you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your courage to receive this truth. Thank you for being willing to go deeper, to ask the bigger questions, and to stand in the face of awakening even when it shakes everything you thought you knew. Your journey matters. Your light matters. And your healing is creating ripples far beyond what the eye can see. If this message resonated with your soul, if it unlocked something within you that had long been asleep, I lovingly invite you to consider donating through Super Thanks. Your support helps keep messages like this flowing and reaching the hearts that need them. But know this with all certainty, whether you donate or not, I am profoundly grateful for you. Your presence is the offering, your awakening is the miracle, and your soul's light is the true currency of the divine. May every step you take from here be guided by inner wisdom and divine alignment. May your connection to the universe deepen with each passing breath. May your sacred fire burn with unwavering strength, lighting not only your path, but igniting the awakening of others. And may you always, always remember that the divine has never left you, never forgotten you, never turned away from you. You are and have always been held. This is your moment, your return, your resurrection. The universe has been waiting for you to remember. And now that you have, let the world see what divinity in human form truly looks like. Until we meet again, stay blessed, stay grounded, and most of all, stay true to the eternal light that you are.